Hello and welcome to the 1-year anniversary of the live casts of our Hygge HOI Grand Games. And we are back here in Falkenberg municipality with Bergagårdhof. And today we are doing a physical event. We have an Axis house, we have an Allied house, we have 35-ish players that are divided between the two houses, and we will be playing a full World War II game in Hearts of Iron 4, and we will be with you the entire day to entertain, to interview, to speculate, and to do a lot of funny shenanigans with all of you, our wonderful viewers and supporters.
And who are you?
I am Victor, one of our casters, and Finland player, historically.
That's very true.
And who are you?
I am Petey, studio lead, and also, OG's casting studio crew together with Victor here. Like you said, we did our first event with a live studio 1 year ago at this physical LAN event, and since then we've been doing, I don't know how many games we've casted, but it's
Quite a few.
Quite a few now. About every month we cast a grand game through our community, Hygge Gaming. So this is a historical multiplayer game. We have just entered the game. The game is still paused, but the players are getting their bearings and starting their stuff. And we have a lot of exciting things to come today. We're going to do raffles where you can win Hearts of Iron DLCs as well as content packs, our guides on YouTube. We will, we will have a lottery. And to join this lottery later on for free DLCs and content guide packs, all you need to do is become a free Patreon on our Patreon, and the address is patreon.com/hyggegaming. What else? Yeah.
You have a new computer?
I have a new computer. It's a monster. So today I will be doing the observing. I'm in the observer seat today. So if there's anything wrong with that, you can send me an email.
Yeah. Usually I am the one that's like this, moving around the mouse and stuff. But now I will be in the supporting role in that regard. And another very, very important supporting role that we have here at our physical LAN events is our technician bench that consists of Mossberg and Lucas. They have been doing an incredible job both yesterday night and the morning today. It's always stressful with all of this technical stuff that you need to set up, but they're doing a wonderful job and increase our production value significantly, I would say. So you can look forward to a very high quality stream and content.
Yeah, for the first time since a year, we don't have to do the technical stuff ourselves. We have our OG technicians back with us, and it feels really nice just to be able to focus on casting this game for you. We are sending live onto Twitch and YouTube, and I think Steam as well, thanks to Paradox sponsoring this event. So a lot of viewers today, we hope.
Yeah, indeed, thanks to Paradox, because we are a Frontlines event in level... What level?
Is it the Chevron tier, maybe?
Yeah, this is one level higher than the non-physical games.
Yeah.
And therefore, we will also be broadcasting this on Steam. So we are looking forward to having a lot of viewership from there. And once again, please support us on Patreon and YouTube if you happen to watch and like this game we're playing.
Yeah. And like we were saying, we are sitting physically in the same house as the Axis team. And the Allies team are a few kilometers away in a different house. And tonight, after the game, they will all join us here for a banquet with the community, and we'll do some award ceremonies and singing songs and stuff. So that should be a good time.
Indeed, we are looking forward to that. And we also have cameras in both the Allied house and the Axis house. I don't know if we can get a little viewing on how the Axis feels about their chances here in our house. You will be able to get that on your screen rather soon, I think. Here we are.
I think we're seeing the Allied
house. This is the Allied house. Yeah. You can see the United Kingdom flag there hanging proudly.
Like,
and
as you
all
can
of
see, they're sitting in an outdoor room, sort of. So they're having some problems blocking out the sun, because the sun is the enemy of the gamer. We all know this.
Indeed, indeed. But what's better to block out the sun with than a United Kingdom flag?
Very true. And here we see the Axis, all arrayed, all ready to go. You can see the Japanese players there with their headscarves.
Indeed.
Very serious. We can see here they've arrayed themselves. So Germany is there to the left and played by Badger, and Here we see Rembefors. He's loaded up with lots of candy. It's good to keep your energy levels high for such a long game. We see Alexander there already as well. Looks like they've started drinking beer already. A very important detail, we have 4 different types of draft beer here available. We are yet to take our first glass for the day. But,
yeah, I think at some point we will have a little drinking game. Here we see Algot, the Italy player, preparing vigorously. And one of our beers is also Italian. It's a very foamy beer, but it tastes very nice.
Birra Moreno.
Indeed. Yeah. And we also have a German beer. So in the Axis house, we have a German beer and an Italian beer. And in the Allies house, we have, I think, an American beer and a British beer.
British and a French, I think.
Ah, British and a French.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. We should do French wine sometime.
Yeah, we should. That would be a chaotic cast, I think, if we drink the same tempo with wine instead of beer.
Indeed.
So having a look at the chat, it seems like we have a lot of people joining us already. We got Mosberg here, our technician, joining in. Rosen is here. Sad you couldn't join us today, Rosen. He's one of our players from the Shetland Islands. The other one being Sticky, who managed to make it here all the way to Sweden. We have Matthias Nilsson, one of our 3 live audience members.
Indeed.
Some of those here as well. Let's see, who else is here? Milo. Badger on Germany, looking forward to this. Yeah, Badger's, he's got great plans, and we will talk more about them in detail in just a bit. Yep. Yeah, okay. So maybe we should get into the game and start looking around a bit.
Indeed. Well, as you see here, the players are preparing. We start at the 1st of January 1936. For you that are new to Hearts of Iron, this is a historical grand strategy game which consists of the Second World War, and we're playing historically, so there are some things that will happen. For example, the demand of Danzig from Germany will happen, and that will be the outbreak of the war. We will have a Finnish Winter War, we will have a Spanish Civil War, and we will have a Sino-Japanese War. And starting out, we have Italy at war with Ethiopia, and that is the first conflict in the war, so to speak. And but it will not necessarily play out historically, because there are a lot of things that can happen, as we have seen in our previous games. And our last Bergagårdhof game was one of the most exciting games we've ever had. It tilted back and forth a lot of times. I remember I called the game for both sides at least 3 times, and was consistently wrong.
Yeah, I think that will be one of the rules in the drinking game. Every time Victor calls the game, you have to drink. Let's see how many of you join us later for the drinking game.
I will start to prepare with a weak beer for that, so get overboard.
So we don't get too drunk straight away. What was I going to say? No, but yeah, we have a really exciting game coming today, I think. The teams have been set up for maximum balance, so we're hoping we'll have a real even game. We have a hard stop at 8:30. But hopefully the game will last until then, and hopefully we'll have a clear winner. But we also have a points system if there is no clear winner. Basically, in short, you need to take as many capitals of the opposing team as possible. So there are some victory points, like Singapore is one, and we'll get to it if we need to, but just know that there is a point system, and if we have no clear winner, we will still have a winner.
And this is a difference from our digital games, because our digital games can go on very, very long, but now we have ordered very nice food banquet, and we have the snaps on cool down and everything. So we will have a hard stop at that time.
I don't know if you said it, but we are playing the Hygge mod, which is a version of their Finest Bra mod. So big thank you to the mod creators. This mod is specifically targeted towards multiplayer, so that's why we're using it. So there's some balancing changes, and it's pretty railroaded. So you usually have one track to go. Like you can't go fascist Britain. That would mess up things. We want the clear teams, the Axis versus the Allies. So the game is still paused. I'm thinking maybe we should start presenting some of the players.
Yeah, we could start with Don perhaps, because he is the one that is having trouble joining. We might be in for a rehost. We'll see how they work things out.
Right. We don't want to break with tradition, and there's usually a bit of technical issues before we get started. We tried to alleviate it this time by... oh, now we can see Don here on the screen. He's sweating a bit.
Yeah, he's trying frantically to join the game. We see here...
He's definitely in the lobby. He's not in the game.
And an allied beer in the glass here. As you can see, we have a different color on the t-shirts as well. So the allies, they have the military green t-shirts here, and the Axis have the desert color.
Yeah, it's a bit of a Desert Fox theme on the Axis this year.
Indeed it is. And we, the casters, we have our white caster shirts. As you can see here, Petey is one of our founding members. He has played a lot of games. Every one of these stars represents 4 games played with our community. So, well, you can count that yourselves. But he has been with us for a very long time and is one of the founders of this. So.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, the ratio between these veterancy stars and the awards down here is not very good. And 2 of these awards are for me sitting here in the studio doing nothing valid. So if you look at some other players like Jacob or Algot, they look like Marshall Shukov with you know.
Yeah, we will see. I am a bit. I think awards wise. I mean, Dankus is probably a player to watch out for when it comes to the awards, because he has a reputation of esports.
Yeah,
I have heard. So we'll see whether he works out a good ratio between veterancy stars and awards as we move on in our community.
We are mentioning a lot of player names here without presenting them, so maybe we should get into presenting the different players. So why don't we start by presenting the big bad wolf, Germany?
Yeah, indeed. On Germany, we have a Badger playing. He is a very, very experienced player, general secretary of the central committee. So he is like, the administrative leader of the Hygge HOI community. And he also makes a lot of guides for the YouTube channel, like and subscribe and so on.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the faction leader of the Axis, of course, playing Germany 1, and he has a big master plan for everybody in the Euro Axis at least. And the plan is basically that he will go pretty heavily into infantry, and they will be quite beefy infantry, beefed up with heavy anti-tank. So he wants them to be able to fight the Soviet tanks head on. But he's leaving the main offensive responsibilities to the Axis miners. And they are arrayed in combat pairs, you could say. So Yugoslavia, for example, is moving up to defend together with Finland. Romania is supposed to attack the Baltics. Bulgaria and Hungary, they are tasked with attacking the Ukraine. Yeah, it's pretty detailed plan, and they will be supported by the German frontline infantry there. What else to say about the Badger? Oh yeah, he's going to get jet CAS. I don't think we've ever seen that in our games.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah, apparently they have like a support attack value or whatever of 15 compared to like or 50 compared to like 15 of an earlier variant. So that could be really significant. And he will get these. He will get the tech ready in 43. So they will start making a difference in 44. So that's something we will look out for. Another thing he told me is that he's going to try to build a fighting navy, but he will try to disguise it as a surface raiding fleet. So when the UK looks at the intel, he will deduce that the Badgers he's just going for some surface raiding, but instead he's trying to beef up his battle fleet, and he's going to challenge the UK on the seas. So that'll be interesting to see.
It will indeed be interesting, because Badger is one of the few players that understands Navy.
Yeah.
It is you practically need a PhD in Hearts of Iron in order to deduce all of the different intricacies of Navy.
Yeah, if you say that you understand Navy and Hearts of Iron, you're either lying or you're a level 5 savant.
Indeed, and as you can see here, he also has quite a lot of veterancy stars.
Yeah,
most I think in the community, or at least the most.
I think he's tied with Algot Snistan with 9 veterancy stars, meaning like 45 games in total. And you can see he's got a few awards there as well, of different types. We'll present the awards a bit later. So it seems like we're back in the game.
Yeah, indeed,
Don
we are.
has joined. Don, of course, playing Mongolia. We'll present him in a bit. But as co-ops then for Germany, we also have on co-chair number 2, Ivarsson, also known as RN. He's a strong player that's improved a lot during the last few years. He's also a childhood friend of Badger, and he's used to taking orders from him. I think he will work well as a co-op. He's a military man in real life, so he's used to taking orders and like getting the job done. So I think he will have clear instructions from the Badger, and he'll have a clear set of responsibilities. So I think he'll do fine in that role.
Yeah, indeed. And on the third co-chair for Germany, we have Arvidsson, and he hasn't played a game with us since the end of last year, and has never before played Germany. But he will be tasked with supporting the different pushes by the Axis miners on the Eastern Front with German infantry. And that is a very important role, because you have all these tank miners, you have Hungary, you have Yugoslavia, Romania, Bulgaria, that can really make a difference on the Eastern Front. But if you don't refill those breakthroughs with line infantry, you will have trouble capitalizing on those gains. So that will be Jonathan's role in the German camp, and if he manages to do that successfully, I think we're looking at a very dangerous Germany this game.
Yeah, we have seen attempts at similar strategies before, like Germany only building infantry and leaving all the tank building to the miners. But I don't think that was very successful last time around, because the miners, while they can get really strong tanks, they can't really get the numbers up quite as much. So we'll see how they manage to work that out.
Indeed. We have Rosenplatt here in chat saying, I don't understand Navy at all. I learned air instead.
Yeah, that's a valid strategy, I think.
Yeah, I didn't manage to become an engineer, so I became a Hearts of Iron customer.
That's perfect. Yeah, so the German team is pretty solid, but they have pretty stiff resistance as well. Why don't we present the UK?
Yeah, indeed. As the leader of the Allied faction, or one of the at least major leaders, we have Falk, a member of the Central Committee and also a co-founder of the community. As you can see here on his very beautiful portrait, he has been with us for a long time as well. And the ratio between awards and veterancy stars is not that bad either. So
yeah. Look at that proud eye. He's gazing towards a bright future for the Allied cause.
Indeed.
Yeah, he's gotten a proper British officer's cap for this game, and we love that kind of initiative. Yeah, Martin is one of our strongest micro players. He's also got solid macro. He's not one for prepping very much. He doesn't like it, like when games get too railroaded and set. But I think he will have done quite a lot of prep for this game still, because it's such an important event.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And he has played the UK 6 times, which is like 1.5 veterancy stars on just the UK. But it has been a year since he played the UK last time, so it will be interesting to see if he has gotten rusty, or if he's coming with us.
They're live on screen, floating by. He looks pretty confident still. The game is now running, so we are on speed 4 now. That we are at peace, and the world is at peace except for Ethiopia, where we have Snistan playing Italy. Why don't we present Snistan?
Yeah.
He is a member of the Central Committee as well. He's also my baby brother. He's played Italy a good number of times, I think. He's good at the micro and the naval game, I would have thought that he would have prepared for Bergagårdhof more, but yesterday when we were going here, he told me he had never prepared so little for Bergagårdhof as this time before. So, but he has played Italy many times before, and they have a very conservative strategy for Italy. They have a plan to try in the early engagement with the French to try to take as much of French North Africa as possible. But other than that, they have no plan on attacking Egypt. He will get no German tanks to support his attack. So he is tasked with simply, I don't know, taking French North Africa. If he can take Gibraltar, that would be great, but it doesn't seem like they're counting on it. So he's just set to defend, really. So yeah, he's also going for submarines mainly. He will finish his surface fleet ships building, and then around 1940 he will just go for submarines to try to raid Allied shipping.
Yeah, and also I think he can be excused for not preparing that much because he has recently become a father.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
That sometimes leads to a differentiating priority between preparing for Hearts of Iron matches and taking care of your newborn child. It's a hard priority to make, I reckon, but yeah. Sometimes you have to, you know.
And my intel has it that right now he has a co-op. Which is Emily, who is playing Vichy France, but Vichy France, of course, doesn't exist yet since we're in 1936. It will be instated after the fall of France. So I think she is tasked with microing the units here in the Ethiopian War, which shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, this is also one of the wars you can't grind too much. You have to pretty much beeline for Addis Ababa, and generally Ethiopia falls in quite a short manner of time, but it still gives you some important experience for generals. And,
yeah. We do have a rule against like unnecessarily prolonging wars in order to gather experience, but it's a fine line. One person's cheese is the other person's sound strategy. So,
yeah, indeed. But we can see here Emily closing in on Addis Ababa here, and this war will be over rather quickly, I would say.
Yeah. There was talk about Emily also controlling the volunteer divisions from Italy in the Spanish Civil War later on, which should be breaking out any minute now. It's always a bit different time when it breaks out.
And we have a new rule there, right? That you have a limit on how many volunteer divisions you can send from every country that gets involved in the Spanish Civil War.
I think so, yes, but I think it's pretty generous. So Italy is sending 6 divisions, if I'm correct. So some limit, but not too hard a limit, I guess.
Yeah, and also like the Spanish Civil War is one of those. The first war where the Axis and the Allies really get to like feel each other out and see how the game is going to pan out, or at least speculate in it, because that's when they meet on the battlefield. And it is one of these wars that the nationalists in Spain will always win, but they can lose, so to speak, if they do badly and they have to settle a peace. Then the Soviet Union gets some off-map factories. Exactly. And that can be very good for the Soviet Union, because that means that they can prepare a lot more for Barbarossa and get their economy going. And if the war drags on a lot for Spain, as it did in real life, they will have trouble building up their economy for the later game, because the country will be devastated, and they might be forced into a volunteer build, even if they want to join the Axis. So it can affect more than you think, the Spanish Civil War.
Yeah. And especially morale-wise, because it's the first fight that you get where you see the Axis and the Allies meeting each other on the battlefield, and after that you have like 3 years of peace and quiet and calm. So the taste of the Civil War lingers in the mouth for a while, you can say.
And also, these volunteer divisions, they become very important later because they gain a lot of experience in this war. So if you do well with your volunteer divisions, you will have a veteran fighting force that you can actually use later in the real war, so to speak. And if your volunteers get surrounded and die, then you lose equipment, you lose manpower, but also you lose the ability of having these veterans later in the war.
Yeah.
So they will try to take out each other's volunteers, and it's a matter of how greedy do you want to be. Do you want to go for high risk, high reward strategies, or do you just stick close to the harbor so you can escape if things are not going your way?
Yeah. So yeah, the game is still running. So far it seems pretty smooth, even though we're going on speed 4. This is promising for the rest of the day. We have a message from Night Round in the chat, one of our longtime viewers. He's usually here for all of our grand games.
Yeah,
so
indeed. Welcome.
Nice to see you here, Night Round. It feels like a proper grand game when you're here chatting with us.
He asked, is Badger playing today or on comms? Badger is playing. He is the German seat 1, so he is the key player for the
This is the Badger
Axis
right now.
Yeah, you can imagine Badger's face there. Yeah, so he will be leading the Axis charge this game, and it will be interesting to see how his naval strategies pan out. Especially against the UK, that is not that preparatory, but very veteran in playing UK.
Yeah.
And also UK has a co-op this game as well, which is
No, they do not.
They do not.
He had to cancel last minute.
Oh.
Yeah, so he's alone on the UK. Another player that's alone playing a big nation is the United States, where we have Dankus Mimicus. And Dankus is, of course, one of the world's most famous Hearts of Iron streamers, one of the world's best players, I would assume. He's played with us a few games before in our community.
He does not have a veterancy star yet, but he already has 2 awards. So his ratio of veterancy stars to awards is infinite.
Yeah.
At least so far.
Yeah.
So this will be a very dangerous, you would say.
In the previous 2 games he played with us, he played Romania and Raj. He was very dangerous in both roles, I remember. But the US is so much bigger. I mean, they could be like half the allies if they're played well. So he can really make a difference.
Here we have a live feed, esports.
Yeah, there we see him
news and energy drinks
live on the screen. You can see those fingers moving quickly over the keys there. He knows what he's doing. It's nice to have these little views from the teams. We'll probably get some reaction videos later on when there's a dramatic naval invasion or something.
Indeed.
So we were talking about the Spanish Civil War earlier, and we of course have a player playing Spain. Right now they are Republican Spain, but they will soon become the nationalist Spain. No matter if they win or lose the Civil War, as Victor just described.
Yeah, I'm looking at the allies because they start out as Republican Spain.
And on Spain we have Joel, and he's playing his 5th game with us, and he's about to earn his first veterancy stars. He played Spain in our last game, and he did very well. He was going down the volunteer route, and that's what he's doing this game as well. So expect to see some Spanish tanks heading off to the Eastern Front or whatever. And at the same time, his main homeland will be safe because he's not in the war. And now we see the Civil War has kicked off.
Indeed, it has. And much as in real life history, you have the good Franco divisions in North Africa there, starting to make their way up to the home country.
This was not very generous. Only 1 division from Japan.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, also Japan is one of those countries that end up at war in quite a swift manner afterwards, because the Sino-Japanese war is the next thing that happens. So if I was Japan, I would probably try to send more divisions so I can get the veterans to push through in China.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not send more? We'll have to ask Jacob, who plays Japan, later about that.
He probably has some thoughts behind it.
Yeah, he's a very numbers kind of guy, so he probably has a good reason for it. So we're seeing here comes the German volunteers, only 1 division as well.
Interesting.
Seems like they're letting Italy carry this civil war, because I think they are sending more. We'll see what happens. So we are paused now while Joel gets to organize his troops. This is usually how the territories fall in the civil war. So you have the nationalists taking most of Western Spain, except for the northern parts here, and then the Republican side is here. Let's have a look at how many volunteers the Soviets are sending. They are sending 5 divisions.
Ooh, that's a lot.
That's more than the Germans and the Japanese are sending, for sure. So only 1 division each from Japan and Germany. Let's see when the Italian offer comes. France is another country that can send volunteers, as well as Bulgaria, but we haven't seen any of those just yet.
It will be interesting to see once the volunteer divisions arrive. We will check out how they are built, because I can imagine that if Germany and Japan is only sending 1 division, then that division can be very big. You will be able to fit a lot of support companies, artillery. So that might be the thought behind it, that you get like 1 really beefy volunteer division instead of sending like 4 or 5 15 combat with infantry or something. So
yeah, that could be it. Let's see here. Yeah, still nothing from Italy, but I think they are just organizing. Maybe they are building some type of no volunteer force.
Here we see the Axis house in full view. People are running around, getting coffee.
Yeah, it seems like most people are on coffee still, but as the day progresses, we will see more and more transitioning into the beer. We, of course, have 4 different draft beers. Oh, wait, no, just 2 draft beers in each house. And in this house, we have a German beer and a...
Italian beer.
Right. So the Axis countries beer, and in the Allied house, they have a British and a French beer.
Yeah. I still think it's an interesting choice with French beer. Now we have good morning all. First time here and never played multiplayer. Now I'm looking forward to it. Greeting from Ecuador.
Well, nice to see we have people from Ecuador watching. A beautiful country.
Yeah, indeed.
A bit globe. Politically unstable at the moment, I think. But
yeah, they have been having some trouble. I have a family there, actually. My mother was from Ecuador.
Right.
So I'm half Ecuadorian. So it's nice to see support from the home country.
Represent. Yeah.
I actually was there when we visited. I ate guinea pig.
Oh, you did?
It's like a very common dish there because it's hard to...
I never did.
Yeah, it's quite nice. I mean, it tastes exactly like rabbit, but you can't fillet it because it's so small. So it's kind of a macabre presentation.
Yeah, you eat it on a stick, right?
Yeah, you can, but we got it on a plate at that time. But it was quite all right, actually.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, Jose, if you've never played multiplayer before, I think this is a good introduction to it. We have players of very different skill levels. We have players who have thousands of hours in the game, who have played the game since it came out and played the Hearts of Iron 3 and 2 and so on. And then we have people playing their second game ever with us at the moment. So the skill levels are very, very disparate, and that's what we like about the Hygge community. Like everybody's welcome. Everybody fits.
Indeed. We have next time Victor's culinary guide. I have actually been talking about doing some more meme content for the channel. I have to check with the central committee, but I was thinking to cook like contemporary meals from different World War II countries. Like
I would watch that.
I could do the Apfelstrudel, you know, with the cream on top.
Yeah. So just a reminder, we are doing a few raffles today where you have the chance to win both Hearts of Iron 4 DLC of your choice or a content pack where you get some of the guides that are usually reserved for our paying patrons. And all you need to do to join this raffle is to go to patreon.com/hyggegaming. And you will see the address on the screen soon, I think. And there it is. And if you join as a free member, you will be joining these raffles. Our paying patrons, you can join also in the prediction quiz. We have, if you go into Patreon and log into your Patreon account, you will see the last post is a post to a Google Forms where you can predict things happening in this game, and we have some nice prizes for the winner of it as well.
And indeed, also if you join as a paying Patreon, you get extra guides, right? Like 50% more guides. So that means you get 50% better at the game.
Yeah, and we have by now a huge library of different guides that's available. You can check the free guides, of course, youtube.com/hyggegaming, I think, as well.
Indeed,
please subscribe on the YouTube.
It's a very good way of learning multiplayer because we are having our own mod, Hygge HOI, but it is very much based on their finest bra, which is like the meta multiplayer mod. So our guides will really set you up to be able to play multiplayer, maybe with us one day.
Yeah, and they really go into depth as well. Like I think they have one of the clips, which is one of the most popular, is about sortie efficiency, and I barely know what sortie efficiency is, but there's an entire guide on it. Okay, so the game is running and the Spanish Civil War is on. Let's see here. Japanese still. Where are there no Italian volunteers?
No Italian volunteers. Yes, that's interesting.
This means that the Allies outnumber the Axis volunteers more than 2-1 right now. We have 5 Soviet volunteers on the way, but only 2 Axis volunteers.
We have a YouTube chat here. Shame I can't join for this event. Looking forward to the next event. Please monitor Yuri's draft beer consumption. He is recovering. Love from Latvia. Eidos. Yeah, very, very sad that you couldn't join us. But we're lucky to have you here on the stream.
Yeah.
And looking forward to...
Also very glad to have Yuri here. He's playing Romania and he came here all the way from the Netherlands. So we'll present him more in depth later on. But right now we have the Spanish Civil War going on. And the... we can see here, he's trying to do a pincer maneuver towards Madrid. This is a classic strategy. If you manage to cut off the capital, all supply runs from the capital to your troops. So if he encircles Madrid, all of the rest of the troops will run out of supply.
You can see Madrid is quite soon to fall because there is really not much to defend it. It's falling just in a couple of days. We have more divisions coming in from Japan and Germany, so they just trickled in.
They're sitting in 1 and 1. I've never seen this before. I'm not sure why, but yeah, they just arrived with 1 division, but there are more coming. Still no Italians though. I wonder what the Italians are doing.
Yeah, and we just have information from the technicians booth here that Francis is the one doing the civil war for the Soviets.
Right.
And with that many volunteers and Francis on them, I think the Allies might be a little bit scared, or the Axis might be a little bit scared because since they are trickling in their divisions. But we'll see.
Let's see. They are still the French are coming with 3 divisions as well. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, Rosenblatt had a very good point here, but they are trying to keep the world tension down. So that's why they are sending so few.
Right.
Because they don't want world tension to increase to a limit where the Allies can do a lot of stuff.
Good point, Rosen.
They have failed, however, to keep it under 5%. So, yeah.
They're up to 6 now.
Yeah, so that's... it was a good thought, but
it will tick down. So and there's an important decision for the UK, which needs 5%. And if the Axis manage to hold the world tension low, the Allies are sort of we call it world tension starve. If you try to keep the world tension low, it hinders the Allies' ability to mobilize for war. They're basically all stuck on a civilian economy in the beginning. Where you where is it? Yeah, whatever. Whatever. They're basically stuck on making toasters instead of tanks, which you don't want to do when you're in a world war. Let's see if we can go back to there.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. I remember we got world tension starved when the Hygge community was playing in another community game, and it really hurt us a lot.
It was a humbling moment for the Hygge community. We joined a tournament earlier this summer where we sent our best and brightest, and then they got world tension starved and got their ass handed to them. But it was sort of, I mean, they played well. It was just that their build was inferior.
Yeah. And also, as Nightron said here, that this have been the meta since the Dankus tourney, and now it is being used against Dankus.
That's very true.
So now he gets a taste of his own medicine there.
Here we see the Italians arriving, also piecemeal, 1 division at a time. But I don't get it. Shouldn't the world tension be the same if you send like 5 divisions 1 at a time or at the same time?
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works. It has been a while since I played, so I've just watched it from a bird's eye view.
There's a reason we're sitting here on the caster bench and not playing, I guess.
Indeed. You might see us in some Blitz games, though.
Yeah. We see Joel has taken Madrid. It's not. He didn't surround it though, so the supplies are still flowing to the Republicans here. But we'll see what happens. There are some offensives. Let's see if we can find the different volunteers here. Where are the Soviets? You can see the German volunteers here trying to close this little salient, but I can't see the Soviets.
Yeah, we're on the lookout here for.
Let's do like this.
Yeah, they have
Spanish volunteers.
Spanish volunteers. They're down in the south here, trying to make a little encirclement.
Yeah, they are a bit low on supply, but these troops that they're sent as volunteers, they are far superior to the Spanish Civil War troops, which are just basically crap. You can see here at one of these divisions, these little cute hats, just militia. Nothing else, no artillery or anything. Compare those to the Soviet divisions, and you can figure out what's going to happen. So the Spanish Civil War is it's a war of volunteers versus volunteers, really, and the Spanish troops are mostly extras.
Yeah, and you have a volunteer division from the Tsardom of Bulgaria coming in as well. So the miners have started sending in the troops. And the world tension is steadily at 8% now. So at this point, they might just go for it.
We'll see.
It will take some time for it to tick down. Perhaps if the UK simply forgets to do the focuses, but
we'll see. It's the Shadow Council, I believe. I'm not as really sure where it is.
You can search for it.
Good idea.
Shadow Scheme there.
Shadow Scheme, right. I think he can take it straight away, can't he? No.
Yeah, he needs some rearmament.
Rearmament, air rearmament. And here he needs to be over 5%.
Yeah.
Now we're over 5%. And Shadow Council... No, it's... Okay, things have changed.
Yeah. The first one requires 5% world tension. But it is quite steadily at 5%. So even if he doesn't click it for a while, he will probably be able to. You can see some nationalist forces here actually getting surrounded. Only militia, of course.
Yeah.
But,
this is Francis doing. He's here with the Soviet volunteers, and he just cut off a few Spanish troops. We see another encirclement over here that just got closed. Republican troops there. And here's another one with Republican troops. Mostly the Japanese doing the heavy lifting here. And that will be closed down. Yeah, so far no real surprises in the civil war. People are a bit conservative with their volunteers. You don't want to risk them. We do have a rule that, for example, if the Soviets feel we've had enough, we don't want to fight anymore, they can go stand in a port and say we are out, and then they are not they are safe. So yeah, you're not allowed to kill them.
And we're closing in on 11 o'clock here, which is the time where we start drinking.
Yeah, my throat is getting a bit dry, so maybe
perhaps you could. This has gone stale since yesterday, so if you just pour that out, and thank you.
I would very much like the German one.
Yeah, I could take the German lager as well. Also, the Italian lager is very, very foamy, so it has a lot of lead time on it. It's very good though, but it takes some preparation.
Yeah. I'm sure we get to experience both of them a few times today.
Yeah, indeed. And also at the banquet.
Yeah. Beer o'clock, exactly, Night Round.
Yeah.
You said it.
Indeed. And world tension still at 8%, so the starving tactic hasn't really worked out. You can see the nationalists are steadily pushing forward, a little encirclement here around Ciudad Real. Perhaps the Soviets will be able to stave that off. You see the volunteers broadening the front a bit, so they don't lose the line militia troops in an encirclement here.
It seems to be a joint effort by the Italian and the Japanese volunteers to close this little pocket here, but they are being thwarted by the Soviet volunteers who are here in the area. Yeah, so far no real big surprises. See Spain here still on civilian economy. I think he could go to... No, he's got no political power, so never mind. And he can't really produce anything well in the civil war as well. So you basically want to finish the civil war quite quickly, but at the same time it's nice to get some experience on your generals, like these two guys.
Yeah, you usually have some traits that you want to get. Like you have adaptable is something you want to work towards, very good trait. Also, I mean, you can't get it in the Spanish Civil War, but Japan, for example, is going to try to get the invader trait, so it can prepare naval invasions more quickly. And you will see that probably in the Sino-Japanese War later, that they plan a lot of naval invasions that aren't really made to stick. It's more for invading, leaving, invading, and getting this, getting the trait so that you can use it later for island hopping.
Now we see a player card coming up on the screen for some reason. So why don't we?
Let's go ahead.
Axel?
While it's there, we have an Ireland player. It's his second game ever with us. His first being all along the Crow's Nest in April, where he also played Ireland. And Ireland is a country. It's a bit of a sleeper country. They I mean, they might seem like a country that isn't too impactful, and in a sense, that's
you may be right. Yeah,
but they can punch above their weight if they manage it correctly, because you don't really expect it either.
And I think Axel did a good job last time of not getting invaded, at least. That's always a sad thing to see when you get like paradropped as Ireland, because you feel pretty safe, but that can be illusory because you're pretty close to the mainland, really.
Yeah, I guess
there we see Axel live.
Yeah. They have so many nice snacks. We don't have any snacks. We should have gotten snacks.
That's true. Yeah, I think I have snacks somewhere, but
at the lunch break.
Beer first. Priorities.
All right, then we can't get snacks because you can't drive after you've been drinking beer.
That's true.
Important, kids.
That's true. Very true. So we see here, if you look at the front line, it's steadily moving towards the coast. I think he's moving at a pretty good pace.
Yeah.
We did have a predictions competition among the players yesterday, and one of the questions was, when does the Spanish Civil War end? I think one of the first alternative was October or earlier. Here we go.
Amazing.
Here we go. So, cheers.
Cheers to all of you
watching.
out there.
Cheers to you, Victor.
Cheers, Petey.
Cheers to the technician.
Cheers.
Ah, yes.
Very nice. We have transitioned to paper mugs.
Yeah,
But
pretty mugs though.
yeah, it's very nice.
For paper mugs, they are quite pretty.
Yeah, it's a high quality paper mug.
Okay, let's have a look here. It looks like the Japanese are leading the fray. And they are trying to fight with the Spanish troops right here. I'm not sure where the Soviet volunteers are here in the south. Francis having consolidated his volunteers to make more of a difference. But they're basically playing for time and playing to increase the experience on their units.
Also, the Soviets, you might think that they're going to try to encircle the Soviets, but they have a lot of harbors here, and it will be very hard to get anything decisive out of this civil war, I feel.
Yeah, and I think Francis's prime directive is not to lose his troops, and because they know they will lose the civil war anyway, so just don't lose too much doing it.
We can look at the experience. Check out the Soviet volunteers, for example, and see to what degree they have gained experience. Not that much.
No, they are still as if they had trained from the beginning. This is the level you reach just by training.
They are leveling up Shukov though, which will be a very important general for later in the game.
Yeah. The Soviet game plan, I'm still a bit unsure of. We'll have to get an interview with one of them in a bit, because we have a pretty good idea of the game plan of the Allies in general and of the Axis, both in the East and in Europe, but not the Soviets. So there's still a bit of a blank slate for me.
Yeah, they are keeping the cards close to their chest, but they are 4 players on the Soviets. So they have a lot of coordination to do, but they can also keep a good lookout on all the different fronts, because the Soviets, you might think it's quite straightforward. You have like the one front, but it's very long and a lot of stuff happening along it, and you have all the Allied minors, so you really need a lot of players on the Soviet.
Yeah, it's intense. But until 1941 or whenever the Axis decide to attack, it's quite calm. You have the Finnish Winter War kicking off in 39. So that will be the first showing of the Soviet fighting strength. But other than that, they have a pretty first few hours of the day.
You can see the Japanese troops up here are moving down the coast, trying to cut off as many harbors as they can. I don't think they will be able to get any volunteers.
They're meeting the French here head on. Let's see. Yeah, they seem to be beating the French though.
Yeah. If they manage to take Alicante and fill up with the German volunteers from the west there, they might be able to get the French.
Yeah, this could be the only piece of excitement we see here in this civil war. If I bet that the Axis volunteers now are doing everything they can to kill as many volunteers here as possible. So we have the French volunteers up here and the Soviet volunteers down here.
Yeah.
And you see here the Germans and the Italians and the Japanese. They're pushing all they can.
Yeah. They are retreating. The volunteers are retreating to the harbor though.
Yeah.
It's if the Italian volunteers get Almeria and the Japanese get Murcia, then you might see one dead French volunteer division.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. It seems like Murcia is falling. We are looking from the Republican perspective right now, so a red balloon means the Axis are doing well.
Yeah.
They are splitting up some forces here. Let's see what happens. It seems like the Soviets are in Almeria, so they should be safe.
Yeah, and the French have also decided to hold Murcia, and the Japanese cannot push it as of now, so they will also be safe, probably.
I'm not seeing the Soviet volunteers right now.
I think they went away. We see the militia is dying.
Here they took they took the boats up to Barcelona.
They are moving not home, but to another port.
Yeah,
little safer.
Yeah, Usually Barcelona is the last city to fall. Right now it's the capital since Madrid has fallen.
Yeah, I think once Barcelona falls, it will also spell the capitulation for the Republican side of the civil war. And if they capitulate while you have your troops in the harbor, then you're able to get out with all your troops. So no significant losses for either the Axis or the Allies in the Spanish Civil War.
No big surprises. It seems well executed by Joel. He did what was expected of him. He didn't lose too many troops there. Looks like we are seeing the end of the war in December, unless they manage to finish it up in just 5 days. So the ones who predicted December will probably be the ones getting points for this question. And if you're a paying patron, you can also join the prediction game, except for the Spanish Civil War. We took out that question. So if you go into your Patreon page and look at the last post, you can join in there and win a nice prize if you manage to get the most predictions correct.
Yeah, indeed. Can we have a look at the casualty figures for the Spanish Civil War before it ends?
Doesn't look very good for the Republicans.
No, but then again, 70K, that's very respectable, I would say, for nationalists. They will be able to come back pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And they also will be going volunteer build, as we heard before, which means that they are not as dependent on a very good Spanish Civil War.
No, they don't need the manpower, really, because they will only have a few divisions out.
And that's probably a smart thing to do, because, you know, when you have Dankers, for example, on the United States, it would be really dangerous to have a Spain that is in the Axis, because that opens up a lot of avenues for different D-days in different places. Especially if the Allies manage to hold Gibraltar, it's very, very hard to defend, like Valencia, Malaga, and that part of Spain from invasion. Then, of course, it's long way to Berlin from Valencia.
But we've seen that in many games where Spain is not going the volunteer route, that they get naval invaded and they cut off here by the Pyrenees, and that usually hurts. But yeah, another thing with Spain not joining the war is that Gibraltar becomes much harder to take. Ideally, you want, aside from the naval invasion here from the east, you want another naval invasion coming from the west at the same time, because in this mod, as you can see, there are two squares here on Gibraltar, which means that the British player can keep reinforcing unless you attack both at the same time. Also, if Spain is in the war, you can put railway artillery like down here or here, and you get supported from the attack. So with volunteer Spain now, Spain can't get attacked, but...
we heard applause from the upper floor here. I wonder if they have managed to kill some volunteers.
The war looks to be over. No, they still have Barcelona.
Yeah, perhaps they were just excited about winning the Spanish Civil War.
I'm not unsure, but did they manage to kill some volunteers? That shouldn't happen though, because they were in a port and they...
Yeah, I think they managed to escape. Perhaps it was their prediction that was correct. I mean, if you are the Axis, you're going to predict the same, right? Or at least that's my feeling of it. Like,
I don't know.
We have a plan, we're going to stick to the plan, and we're going to end the war at this time.
Yeah. Speaking about the Soviets, as we did before, let's present the Soviets.
Yeah, indeed. Let's.
So, as the main controller of the Soviet Union, we have. Looks like we have. Oh shit! I was on.
Oh, don't press quit. Press observe, and we're fine.
Still in the game, still with us.
Yeah, it has happened before that we press quit just out of reflex, and it's a bitch and a half to get.
You don't want to do that. Yeah, so as the main controller, we have Jonte, and Jonte is a central committee member, one of the co-founders of the community. He's also the baby brother of Badger, which might be interesting later. The battle of the brothers here, Germany main controller versus the Soviet main controller. He missed the last game, I think maybe to accumulate domestic capital, because this time he has the entire Allied team in his house.
Yeah.
So,
and he also has quite a recently born child, right?
Yeah. He got a kid this summer as well. He's played the Soviet Union just twice before, which is not a lot if you consider how many games he's played. But the last time he played the Soviets was in April, so it's still pretty fresh, I think. He's a strong micro player, pretty good mechanics, and I think he will have prepped a lot for this game.
Yeah, I would imagine so, but he has kept the plans quite close to him. We don't know that much about the Soviet game plan here.
No, we'll have to get an interview with one of them pretty soon. On Soviet chair number 2, we have Francis, who just controlled the volunteers in the Spanish Civil War. Maybe we'll get a player card of Francis there in a bit. There we go. Nice pose from him.
Indeed.
Yeah, he's a solid player all around, and also a solid pillar of the community, I would say. Always very I don't know, high energy, and
yeah, he's really a morale commander of the team. Even when things are looking grim, you can always count on Francis to be like, "Come on, guys, let's do like this. Stick to the plan."
Live on the screen right now. He's he doesn't have too much to do just yet.
And you see there, he's powered by, is that Pågen Kanelgiffla I see in the little, no?
Yeah, that might be, yeah.
It might be.
Looks like it.
Yeah. A very good baked good.
Food of the gods.
Indeed.
Food of the gods. Yeah, so that's Francis. And on last Bergagårdhof, he had an amazing moment where he basically won the war for the Axis. He was playing Hungary, and things were looking really grim. The Allies had made a D-Day, and they were closing in on Berlin, but then Francis came with his try again army, because his army had gotten wiped once already, and he just cut the D-Day in two and basically won the game for the Axis. So let's keep our eyes on Francis later on. Because,
that's good. He always tries again, right?
Yeah.
You get your whole army surrounded on the Eastern Front in a digital game as well, because you really get the morale difference between the digital games and the physical games. Because if you're sitting at home by the computer on a Saturday and things are not going your way, you might despair a bit and let's get it over with and I can do something else. But now when you're at the house with your friends, you're going to drink beer later, you're going to sleep here, then you don't really give up, right?
No.
So the discrepancy between Francis' perseverance and the other players' perseverance might have evened out a bit, but then again, his might just have increased even more.
Yeah,
we'll see about that.
There are some of our players who are like, maybe we should surrender now. Francis is not one of those. He's he will fight to the end. On Soviet chair number 3 out of 4 in total, we have Stan. And Stan, he's been with us in the studio once before, so maybe you know his face. He's played 9 games in total with the community, and 2 of these were playing the Soviet Union, so he's got some experience there. He missed the last 2 Grand Games, and he was in the studio for the 2 games before that, so he may be a bit rusty. We'll have to see.
We'll have to get him in the studio one more time, so he gets one of these awards.
Yeah, he needs more awards, Stan. He only has 1. Not too bad, though, seeing as he only has 2 veterancy stars, but yeah. And on the 4th chair, we have Sundström. And Sundström has played 8 games with us, so almost the same as Stan. He's never played the Soviet Union before, though, with us, and I think he will be given a limited area of responsibility, probably a piece of the front to Micro. Yeah, you can see here on the right side of your screen here that they seem to have split up the responsibilities. So stern but friendly, I think that's Stan's.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
And glorious leader, that must be Jonte's troops. So let's have a look here what he's controlling. It's just some random.
Some garrison divisions. Quite green garrison divisions, not that well trained yet, but I guess he's exercising them. Young kids army here also garrison.
No idea what that is. I can't see any like clear areas of responsibility. They seem pretty spread out, the different troops here. So maybe
we have a couple of light tanks here, or at least motorized divisions. That's interesting. We have seen heavy tank heavy tank Soviet has been
a lot of that
quite common. But I don't know whether or not they will do it this time. We will see later on.
Yeah, so far a lot of garrison divisions, seems like.
Yeah. We have a question from Mossberg in the chat. When do the technicians get awards? Yeah, definitely. We will have... you're doing your 2nd game as technicians here, so we'll make sure to bring that up with the center.
I think they will probably qualify for the propaganda award.
Yeah, I think so as well. We have a question from Saxuliv. Have the kittens grown?
That's a good question, actually. Yes, the kittens have grown. We still have 1 kitten left with us, Åke. Unfortunately, they're back at my house, so we didn't bring the cats to this physical lawn. We didn't even get the camera on them, I'm sad to say. So no streaming cat this time. You'll get reaction pictures of the players instead. That's something. It's not a cute cat, but it's something.
Yeah, our players are cute as well, but not as cute as the kittens we had last stream.
No.
I remember we lifted them into the stream, like, here is the kitten. And they had very sharp claws.
Yeah.
Like they were like climbing. And,
Yeah. They weren't.
Active player who just managed to win the Spanish Civil War. Did you kill any volunteers? We didn't kill 4 Soviets. 4 Soviets. So that's a big one. We didn't realize. We thought they were in the harbor. No, they escaped to Barcelona. Well, that's a big win for the Axis there, because these are divisions that would otherwise have been veteran divisions that could have been used expertly later in the war. So a good win for the Axis, and now we realize why we heard such thunderous applause on the upper floor.
Makes sense. Let's have a walk around so people can see where we are. Let's start outside, I think.
Yeah, indeed.
If the connection holds.
Yeah, I think we are on the good Wi-Fi now.
So we have a nice view out here, and if you just look over the railing, we have flags of all the different nationalities represented here at this Hygge game. So we have the Spanish flag, Antonio is here. We have a flag of Holland, the region, EU flag, a Dutch flag.
And we have cars from all the different countries as well. Here we have a BMW from Germany. We have the Ford from America, Tesla also from America, and a Mini from Britain.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It's like a real United Nation of cars. Let's go inside again.
Yeah, let's. It's very warm out here. Here we have our beer stand. So we have 2 kegs of beer. Good time for Hygge, indeed. It is.
And Hygge, of course, if you didn't know it, it's a Danish word meaning sort of coziness.
Yeah, I think so. A Norwegian word as well.
Oh, okay, yeah, there you go. The Axis, they look pretty pleased with themselves. Look at that smugness on Algott's face over there.
Yeah, very.
It's means I'm playing Italy. So who was the responsible for killing the Soviet volunteers?
Well, Moscow on Japan was the project lead on the Spanish Civil War in a great show. We just followed that.
We saw him. He was leading the spearhead. Let's go over to Mako over there. So we're in the corner of the Asia axis over here, as you can see. Specific area. So here we have the Manchu player, the Siam player, and the 2 Japanese players. Jakob is the main chair, and Mako here, he was responsible for controlling the Spanish volunteers. And you managed to kill 4 Soviets. Congratulations.
Yeah. Also, you have quite a humble battle station here. Yeah. I'm impressed.
I was trying to redeem myself for the Emperor.
Yeah, for the Emperor.
Get my bandana. I need to do a lot of good things for the Emperor.
Eternally honor.
Yes.
Excellent. So you've flown here from Spain, so that's why you're not bringing a big rig, I guess.
No.
Oh yeah, of course. You would have done companionship. Yeah, but well played in the Spanish Civil War. Did you have what's planned out, or did you just react?
No. Basically, we planned it a little bit. Basically, Spain secured Madrid very early. You can see, and in the moment you secure Madrid area, you have all the skies for you. And basically, we use all the cars to film the basically. And that's it. It's very. I mean, I'm not gonna say easy, but I think we coordinate properly.
Nice.
Yes, it's very good strategy.
Nice. So when are you kicking off the China war?
I think the normal date.
The latest possible date. Right.
Yes.
Right.
But by the way, I was wondering one thing. You trickled in the volunteer division. Was that an attempt at the war tension start?
So does that why does it cause less world tension to send 5 divisions one at a time?
Basically, every few months or every certain dates, it tick down the tension here, and every mark is a specific tension. So if you have 10, it's gonna reduce 0.1 in each one. But if you want 10 tension, it's gonna take only 0.1 in that 10th tension.
All right.
So it's lower, faster.
There you go.
Yeah.
We learn something every day here.
It's low volunteers now. It's low volunteers here, as you can see. You cannot see any volunteers now because it's only one. Yeah.
Very smart. 5-head tactics, as the kids say.
Victor is of course down with the memes and he's down with the kids, so he knows all about the skibidi toilets and whatnot. We also have, I think okay, so the game is rolling again.
The game is rolling again.
I didn't even know it was paused, but there you go. I think we also today have a bit of a live studio audience. I think
let's check
if we can find them. I'm just gonna see if we can see them. They're in here.
Yeah, in here.
As you can see, there's a bit of chaos. And here we have the live studio audience. And this is a bit of Inception-like, because now they're watching themselves on the screen, and now we lost the stream.
No, that's because we turned it off.
Yeah, you turned it off. So how are you enjoying the game so far, guys?
It's really nice. I think until the camera actually shut down. So yeah, we'll see. We'll go back down in a minute to see if Lucas has gotten it set up.
Yeah.
But it's very nice solution by the technicians that we have this with live cam.
Yeah.
We can transition.
This is nice. So will you be joining us in the Hygge drinking game today?
Might.
Nice. Were you driving, Tobbe?
Yeah.
Okay, you can drink water then, maybe. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, this is our live studio audience. Let's go back to the.
We could have a little beer discussion later up in the garden. Oh, let's see.
So we're standing now behind Krista here. He's playing Finland. Are you preparing for the winter war?
Yes, I'm prepared.
Nice. And what's the plan? How will you hold the line?
I'm thinking that the Soviets might just rush into my lines and die.
That
would hopefully be a nice idea.
That's probably what they will attempt to do, at least. So have you built the supply depots and stuff in strategic places, or?
No, I'm actually gonna remake I'm gonna remake him into my field marshal. I'm gonna make him into a logistics wizard, so I don't have to do that.
Right.
So hopefully that will be enough.
And you will be going for infantry, I suppose. And yeah, and I think you were supposed to use pack artillery and the heavy anti-tank.
Yes, heavy AT is more for the Barbarossa.
Right.
I think that will war. So I'm hoping for like 25 divisions, 15 widths.
Yeah.
Couple special forces.
So, could you show us your division or your templates?
We have our Karhus, the bears.
Yeah.
We have our Surtuta, which is the angry ones, and then we have the I want milk, please. The special forces ones. So,
could you show us the templates?
of course. So these are my 30 widths.
Nice. You're gonna get some more support on there.
Yes, so because I'm getting the support companies for the Finnish winter war.
Okay.
So I need more attention if I can go.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, interesting. So yeah, we'll probably kick off in 39 as usual, so you have some time to prepare.
Yes. Yeah. And actually, I'm gonna micro against 4 players. So
yeah, that'll be sweaty. But later on in Barbarossa, our intel has it that you will be joined by Yugoslavia up in Finland. Have you made any common plans with Yugoslavia?
Well, I'm probably going to have to just work on holding it to be around.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Soviets. We'll see. It's a common strategy to go for the finish.
Yeah, we have seen that in the last few games that the Soviets put all of their attention on Finland to try to kick them out early. But let's hope then that Yugoslavia comes to bail you out.
It'll be the first time, I guess. Build up with the shots.
Speaking of Yugoslavia, we see here that you have set up your screens very closely for cooperation.
This is strategic. This is definitely strategic.
That's one of the advantages of the physical LAN, where you get this rapid communication and quick responses to different happenings in the different theaters of war.
Yeah, right now we still see players are pretty disciplined. They have their headsets on. I think they may be in the Discord channel and so on. But later on, everybody's just shouting, so the headsets goes off, and yeah, complete chaos.
Now I can see a green screen on our camera feed here, so we might be going down again soon.
Back to the studio, back where we belong.
Yeah, indeed.
Back to the hole.
Yeah, let's get back to the bunker, and we will continue passing the game.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Det är inte säkert bra ljud då.
Okay, we're testing.
Testing.
Not sure if we have any.
Yes.
If we have any sound. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
So.
And now we're back in the studio. We can see here on the live feed that Mossberg is still running around with a live cam.
Yeah, so what happened was the camera got overheated, and but now it seems to be replaced, and hopefully we'll be back running in a little bit.
Luckily, we have so many good Patreons that we have a second cam here.
Yeah.
So we have two different, very nice Canon cameras that we are rotating by, and this is a big upgrade in production value from. Razer Hygge cam, which is also a very nice webcam, of course, but this is a different ballpark altogether. So, and also thanks so much to the technician bench to be able to fix all of this with the live interviews and us running around with the camera. It's an expert way to handle the downtime. So, so very good work, both Lucas and Mossberg, to be able to tackle these technical difficulties on the fly. That's why we have the technicians.
Yeah,
we would never be able to handle that.
Exactly.
We would just start waving kittens around.
Yeah, we get some appreciation for the technicians here in the chat from Night Round.
Yeah. Thank you, Night Round.
Cheers to our technicians.
Cheers to the technicians. And also, of course, cheers to all of our fantastic players that was able to expertly handle us just coming up there and starting the cast from the upper floor.
But
very nice.
I got a bit of a deer in headlights vibe from some of them. Like, oh shit, I'm on TV, you know.
Yeah, indeed. And our live studio audience as well. Very nice.
Yeah, they were also quite surprised to see us, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I just realized I already had a beer. So I'm going to do a mix. So now we have German and Italian beer here. So it's an Axis beer. This.
Yeah. Okay. So we are in the game right now. We are covering the entire screen, so you can't see much of what's being done, but that will be sorted out in just a bit. So the Spanish Civil War is over, and it's now nationalist with Franco in the lead. But yeah, as you can see here, he has a special name, Senor Oscarisco Franco. And this is because we have a Patreon called Oscar, and if you're a patron at a certain level... Yeah, camera is back on. We are on. We are here. Right. We should present some players. I think let's present some of the players that we sort of presented up there. Let's go to Yugoslavia and Remefors.
Indeed. Let's check out Yugoslavia. It was one of the players that we saw briefly now when we were up running at the second floor, and he will be cooperating closely with Finland, I hear.
Yeah.
And he has been in the community for 3 years. Very dependable player. He has never played Yugoslavia before, though. But we haven't had many Yugoslavias at all.
No, that's very true. Usually Yugoslavia gets split up among the other Axis nations here on the Balkans and Italy, of course. We even had in the Axis chat early on, someone was saying, oh, could I get this and this piece of Yugoslavia? And some players responded that, no, we have a player there. You can't.
Yeah, that's one of the intricacies in the Balkans. as it often is, that different parts of Yugoslavia can be split up by different Balkan players. And if you have a player on Yugoslavia, that's always a balancing act, because if you have a very good player that can make use of some territories, you might concede it, but otherwise you might keep it, so you get manpower and the industry. So, the Balkan bros can handle that between themselves.
Yeah, right now, Remmerfors he's got a training division, like a big beefy division where he's training the troops. So nothing revealing his plans just there. He's going for a siege artillery battery. Quite nice, I guess.
Interesting. We'll see. Railway guns has become more and more common since they were introduced. It can really have an impact.
And as I was speaking to Johannes, the Badger, the German main controller yesterday, he plans to build, let's see where we have it, the railway.
Right. We still have some camera issues, I hear here, that needs to be configured. So we're going to take a walk again with Mossberg and have a talk with some of our Axis players live here on the second floor, while Lucas configures the other Canon camera. So join us as we walk away.
As we go on tour again.
Well, and here we are again.
Yes.
While Lucas configures the camera, we might have a talk with our Spain player.
Right before we left, let's talk with Spain. How are you doing?
Doing good. Spain is now fascist, which feels nice in my mind.
It was planned all along.
Yeah, it was a plan, and it's also, you see my shirts, no medals, no stars, see my computer, shitty laptop, so I try to under-promise and over-deliver.
Nice,
yeah,
nice. Yeah, it's better than the alternative, I guess. Yeah, better than the opposite.
Yeah.
So the war went according to plan, right?
Yeah. I got some good help here as well. Yeah. I'm a pretty new player, but we tried to go straight to Madrid with divisions, and then the cast came and just opened up the routes.
Right.
And actually, we finished earlier than I played Spain once before, and this was a bit earlier than we finished the war. So.
Nice.
Yeah. Which was also my bet for the tips we did yesterday. So. Coincidence?
I think I bet on November, so no points for me on that.
Yeah, I didn't bet at all. I arrived at like 1 o'clock tonight. But you're going volunteer Spain, if I understand correctly. What are you planning to do?
So my plan is for to be sort of the fire squad in the Eastern Front, or like a fire brigade. Yeah, not the fire squad. Trying to pitch in where I need and go back to stop D-days if they happen. So trying to stay mobile and support the Eastern Front as good as I can.
With tanks?
Yeah, with tanks.
Medium tanks or?
No, I think it's like a tank destroyer. I got a
right.
This is I have a template.
He's got the template here on the picture. Look at this.
Yeah,
we got the behind the scenes.
So prepared.
So mostly mechanized, it looks like.
Yes, but this is going to be tank.
Right. That's a decked out division. So you're expecting some tank resistance then on the Eastern Front from the Soviet Union. Yeah, it's always good to be prepared.
Yeah, from what I hear, the main Axis plan on the Eastern Front is to avoid the Soviet tanks. So if they see that the Soviet tanks are in one place, they will attack in other places. But you will be the one going after the tanks, sort of.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. So before we left, there was a request in the chat for an interview with Badger. He probably has a lot to do, so let's go disturb him a bit. Here we see the Badger, the faction leader, our general secretary. He's building up here. Yesterday you told me you were doing something with railway artillery. You're building the type of railway artillery that only Germany can build, and I think that will make a difference.
Yes. So the plan is to go for Wunderwaffe very quick, and then focus on the railway RT3 that only Germany has. Right. It's called the Karl Gerald or something like that. So hopefully we'll have I will just produce like a ton of them right when I can. And then I will spread them out all over these fronts. Right.
And also the jet class, which we've never seen before.
Yes,
we're very excited about.
Yeah, so that's the next Wunderwaffe project.
Could you show it to us in the tech tree, maybe?
No, it's I can show it, but I can't really show it because it's under it's under here, the Wunderwaffe weapons development.
Right.
So it's a decision you take.
Yeah.
But I can only take that one that's called JetCast once I've taken the experience topic here.
And we hear Jacob shouting China War in 20 days. And there's some exciting developments in the China War this time because they have a completely new strategy. Usually Japan and its allies, let's go to Japan. Or at least look over his shoulder.
I'm very interested to hear what they
Let's go this way. So from what we hear, instead of attacking from the north like they usually do, they will attack the main force from the south. Is that correct, Jacob? Yeah. So they're going in from the south, which means they will hit the vital areas of China much earlier. And this, in the practice sessions, this made for a really quick China war.
It did.
How quick?
October 37. 38.
And that is really quick.
Very.
Yeah, that's an impressive performance.
This,
We see also here all of Jacob's awards. He has one of the better ratios between awards.
Get the camera on those medals. Look at all of the goddamn medals.
Yeah, that's a lot. We can't brag about much, but yeah, well, we have the custom medals.
Yeah, those are probably the most beautiful medal you can have. The custom medals.
I feel so.
No, but it's really interesting to see how this China war will go. It's against the AI, of course. We don't have a China player, and we don't allow for volunteers either from the Allied or Comintern side. So it's just these Japanese guys versus the AI, and I think they will do just fine.
Yeah, it's they look prepared at least.
Yeah, let's hope like this everything goes well.
I want to see that
See the cameras to work down there.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll make our way down.
Yeah, we'll make our way down to the studio again.
Look at the China war. At his graduation. Look at that young badger.
And it's Christmas Day and at.CET.
Hopefully you can both see and hear us.
Yeah, indeed.
Very nice.
Hope so.
Having a walk around the Access players there. They still seem pretty confident. And I think this is, I think Jacob is very proud of his China strategy. Because we've seen quick China wars before, but then it's usually due to some extreme paratrooper cheese or something. So, really
I'm going to go through the backlog on the chat here since we have been walking around. We have Saxulev saying, I wonder why the audio also cuts out when the camera overheats. And I think that's because we have the antenna for our little mics plugged into the camera. That's my understanding of the situation. I get a thumbs up from the technician bench here. So my engineering education has not been for nothing. We have, is Dankus the only other person streaming? I would imagine so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And Bergagårdhof, fingers crossed I can be there next year. Yeah, we hope so as well. Oh, it's nice to have
you here, Firefly.
To have people joining us for this physical launch. We just got the food here. You can't see it because it's out in the hallway. And if Mossberg walks down here, we will get the echo from the mic. But it looks really nice.
Our players will have a lunch break at the start of the outbreak of the big war at Danzig War. But we will continue sending broadcasting here from the studio. Maybe me and Victor will take turns eating a bit. But you as the audience, you don't have to go anywhere. You can just sit and relax and watch our stream all day. And here we see the China War has indeed commenced.
Indeed.
We see some quick naval invasions down in the south here. They will probably take the bridgeheads, and then we will see the main Japanese advance from the south.
I mean, since they are doing the advance from the south, will they do the invader trait cheese? Because they might not be able to do that right with these new tactics. So it's really a prioritization between a quick China war or being able to get like these good traits for later island hopping.
Yeah, we see here he's transferring a big amount of troops down to the south. Like we said, usually the main attack comes from the north, from Manchuria, and then you work your way down. There's usually a naval invasion or two down here that meets the main advance, but right now the main advance is coming from the south, and apparently this has proven very effective in the testing that they've done. So we'll see if they manage to do it here.
I mean, they are prepared players. Jacob is one of those players who doesn't have a recently born child, which means he has more time to prepare for the war.
Yeah, he's a student, and for some reason students seem to have a lot of time to play Horde Survivor.
Yeah, it seems like it. We have Night Round saying, no lunch break, you all keep going more pro. And yeah, that's true. I was thinking we might do a mukbang in the garden. You can sit with us and eat. It's, I don't know if the technicians are up for that, but we'll see. We'll see Mossberg having an ambivalent look here. So
yeah, we'll see where the day takes
We'll see where it happens. Good morning. I am with you too. I am with you now too, says Mortal Vision. Welcome to the stream.
man.
Then you avoided most of the technical issues, but you also missed out our little live coverage of the Axis second floor. But you will be able to watch the VOD after this stream that will be posted on our YouTube channel. And if you are a Patreon, I think you will also be able to get like the save games and stuff like that. So we will be with you even after this game has ended, probably around sometime tonight.
And if you're just joining us, like Mortal Vision was, this is a grand game, a historical multiplayer Hearts of Iron 4 game by the Hygge gaming community. And this is one of our physical events, which we do once a year, called Bergagårdhof. So we have the Axis sitting in one house, the house where the studio is also situated, and we have the Allies in a different house. So it's a big event for us. We're sponsored by Paradox for this event, so maybe you're joining us from Steam right now. That's thanks to Paradox. And we are in the China War, so-called. So Japan is doing their main advance from the south, which is a bit of a new tactic, and they seem to be doing fine so far. There's not, I mean, up here the terrain is very mountainous and harsh, and not a lot of supply. Down here it's a bit more chill, so maybe they'll get to the hard-to-reach areas here in inner China earlier. Otherwise, these are usually the last to fall, and it becomes quite a slog by the end. AI China gets their reinforcement in different waves. So yeah, the first, second, and third, and fourth wave, etc. So you want to time your attacks with the waves.
And I mean, that's also, I mean, that's AI control, so you can really plan around it. So you want to trigger like the first wave mobilization so you don't get overwhelmed. And you can also use that to your advantage, because if you make like quite a big almost encirclement of a big logistics hub, and then you trigger like the first wave by taking a victory point, you get a lot of troops that you can encircle, and that can really hurt the Chinese war effort and end the war more quickly. And we see Japan making some impressive progress here in the south. They have really thought this through. I think this might be a new meta coming up for the Hygge community, because this is looking to be a quick civil war. Can we check China to see which level of mobilization they are at now? Probably the 5th down there. No, the next first wave mobilized. Yeah,
so still on the first wave, but the next wave will be coming shortly. But like you were saying, Victor, they're not doing a lot of naval invasions, so they won't get the invader trait on any generals using this strategy. I know one strategy is just naval invading here repeatedly, and the Chinese AI will move down troops, and you naval invade again, etc. It's a bit cheesy, but it's something we see a lot, and it's usually here was a naval invasion. It's usually allowed.
Yeah. Indeed, we have some beautiful words in the chat here. Thank you. Sometimes the tech goods are with us. Sometimes they have all right. Yeah, it's Mossberg writing. Sometimes the tech gods are with us, and sometimes they have a laugh at our expense, and that is indeed true. He is the one feeling the wrath of the tech god sometimes, but we have been able to adapt quite expertly this time.
Yeah.
So very nice job, Mossberg.
Yeah.
Really impressed with this production values. Very worth getting up at 4 a.m. to watch. Great job, guys.
Wow, 4 a.m.
Thanks a lot for that. That's dedication to the game to get up at 4 a.m.
Yeah, it's Milo 613. I recognize the nick, but I can't remember where you're from, Milo. Where are you joining us from?
4 a.m. That should be America-ish, right?
I guess. Otherwise, it should be later.
Yeah, because it's minus, right? You had the Greenwich Mean Time, and then you have minus every.
Right.
So, like,
Right.
yeah,
Maybe we can
Canada.
work it out. Canada, nice.
Yeah.
Nice to have you with us, Milo.
Speaking of Canada.
Yeah, why don't we present Canada? That's a good idea.
Let's check it out here. Canada is one of those
on Canada,
allied nations that can really punch quite hard.
Yeah, and on Canada we have Magnus Ek, and he is he's been with us in the studio once before. He's also been playing a lot of majors lately, so he knows the game pretty well. I think he will really enjoy this narrowed focus of just having to focus on your tanks. As Canada, you rarely get invaded either, so you don't have to think about defense. You just build some of the best tanks in the world, and you send them wherever you want to. So that's I think it will fit him really well.
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, Canada is one of those. It is almost a major. I mean, it's a part of the Commonwealth, so in that sense, it's a part of the British Commonwealth. But if you were to rank on industry strength, manpower, economy, and safety from invasion, most of all, Canada really has a potential to be one of those very, very hard-hitting allied miners and can make a lot of impact late game. We have seen games where heavy tanks from Canada has made all the difference in Europe, and I think that we will see similar things from Magnus. He's an experienced player, and he hasn't played the last 4 Grand Games though. But yeah, he's back now and with a fresh lookout on things. We say here in our description that is possibly because he has gotten a girlfriend, so it's up to him to prove now that he's a real gamer.
Exactly.
And if you're watching, then we wish him all the luck.
Yeah. And as you can see from his player picture there, he's also gotten one of those nice officer's caps. So he's part of the Commonwealth and ready to fight for his liege.
Indeed. Well, let's see. The China war is still ticking on, very much to the advantage of Japan. Once they manage to link up the southern and the northern front, I think, because if they manage to get like the second or third wave to spawn in when they are almost linked up, then you're going to have a good time, because then you cut off the supply.
Look at this really quick push into the inner China here. He's just sending one mountaineer to snake right through. This is not something we usually see. Usually the attack goes down here and you consolidate, etc. And then you move inlands. But he seems to be wanting to get these victory points early on in order to capitulate China.
He is having some trouble with the snake though. Like this mountaineer is not long for this world.
The snake was a bit too thick. So
a bit more than he can chew. Sad to lose a mountaineer to the AI in this manner, but then again, I think that as a whole, Japan is doing an impressive Sino-Japanese war.
Yeah, the Chinese AI is of course very stupid, but they are very numerous and very aggressive as well. So this is what happens when you underestimate the AI. We have a bit of a surround there. Looks like we have a hot joining player. It's Sticky.
Yeah, Sticky is hot joining. Who is what is Sticky playing?
Yeah, why not? Let's up a bit.
Yeah, that is.
There we go.
Yeah, there.
Sticky is playing France, and Sticky is a long-time member of the community. He's one of our players from the Shetland Islands, which is a bit exotic, I would say.
Yeah, indeed, it is.
People barely know they exist, but they're it's a good place. He's been with the community since 2022. He's only played Roche once before in one of our games. And that was at the last Bergagårdhof.
Yeah,
so a year ago.
Not right.
Oh, France, sorry, yeah.
But he has attended every Grand Game since he joined the community. Perfect attendance record from Sticky, and he's one of those players that that you can really depend on him. He's always focused, eyes on the prize.
Yeah,
and he could really prove quite a hurdle, because France is one of those countries. I mean, they will capitulate.
Yeah.
They will lose, but they can prove quite a hurdle to the German troops. They might be able to encircle some division at some point, much like happened to the poor Soviet mountaineers here in the Snake. And later they can punch back very hard, because they get a good capitulation 3, government in exile, And once you do the D-Day and you recapture parts of France, they get the industry back, they get good buffs on core territory, and they can really be a vital part of the Allies, as they were in real life, indeed.
Yeah, I know in the Allied strategy chat that he had big plans to try and hold France for a long time, but the reactions from his teammates were rather I don't know, negative. So I think he won't focus too much on that. But it's always nice if you manage to hold up the Axis advance for just a few months extra, because that really hurts their build-up and war effort. I misspoke before. Sticky has been with us since 2020, and he's attended every grand game since he joined, which is quite remarkable.
Yeah, I mean that is an impressive record.
Perfect attendance record.
And you can see that by the fact that he has 6 veterancy stars. He even has 7 veterancy stars on the picture. So he has gotten a new veterancy star since for this game.
Yeah, right. We have a bit of a discrepancy there on the T-shirt and the. But
yeah, I mean, you get the delay of 1 game, right?
Yeah.
Because we make the pictures, but
and as you can see, he's also wearing a spiffy beret, very French.
Indeed, very French. I remember we have some costumes, like Raj usually have some costumes.
Yeah.
And now we have.
And that reminds me, we are actually watching the China War right now, so.
Yeah.
There we go. We have to keep with the theme.
Yeah, indeed, that's a nice hat.
It's a hat. It's a hat. The acoustics get very weird in here. It's like you're sitting in a bowl or something. I guess I am in a way.
Yeah, I think it's good if we are going to sit out in the sun and eat later. It's very good for protecting. You don't get burned on your shoulders, and yeah, good hat.
Very true. Very true.
Good hat indeed.
So the game is still paused. We are a bit unsure why, but I'm sure they will start as soon as everyone's in the game and ready.
Do you think the Japanese will be able to save their Mountaineer division here? I think that it's actually dead. The org is going.
No, I mean we can't see the progression right now on the battle, but it was quite low. But on the other hand, he has troops moving in here.
Oh yeah, I mean that square is empty. So if he pins the one to the right there, which he has already clicked.
Yeah, so
he might be able to save that Mountaineer division.
This guy will arrive in 4 days and 10 hours. So will he hold out for 4 days and 10 hours? That's the question.
Yeah, it's going to be by the skin of its teeth, I think.
Yeah.
Like I see the organization meter there. For any newer players, there are 2 factors with the soldiers. You have the green bar, which is the organization of the division, and you have the orange bar, which is the strength of the division, so the equipment and the manpower. So, for example, if you have a division that consists of 1,000 men, and you only have a manpower of 500 men, then it's not going to be full strength because you don't have the men to fill it. And if you have an army or a division that consists of 1,000 artillery pieces, and you only have 500 artillery pieces, that's pretty much the same. But organization, that is the manner of if the division is able to advance or not, if they are able to fight. Because if they are disorganized, if they are in retreat, they can't fight, even if they are at full strength. And if they are encircled and lose the organization, then they will surrender. Because, and then you will lose all the equipment and the manpower in that division that surrenders. So it can be quite hurtful. Here, for example, you see that the Mountaineer division here is at 97% strength, but only at 6 out of 47 organization. So if they lose all of their organization, then they will surrender to the Chinese, and then they will lose all of the artillery and all of the support companies and all of the men that are in this division. So that's why you really want to stay away from the encirclements if you are able to. And that's also why you really want to encircle your opponent. Because once you surrender a division, you also capture their infantry equipment and their artillery and so on.
Or a percentage of it.
Yeah, a percentage of it. And that can be increased by certain support companies and certain focuses and stuff, I think.
We have a question here. If we think that the Japanese will find themselves overextended soon. And
well, in a sense, they have already found themselves overextended in this particular case.
This is a bit of an overextension, but on the other hand, I think they are doing really, really well.
Yeah,
they managed to come in like to these victory points in here. the war is basically over, because then you just have to take the easy ones out by the coast, and the war will be over quite quickly.
Yeah, if you win the China war before the fall of 1938, I would say that the trade of one mountaineer division is definitely worth it if you're Japan.
Yeah.
But that's also, I mean, that depends on what nation you are in the manner which you trade. Because if you're, for example, Mongolia or Finland or Ireland or a smaller nation, and you get one mountaineer division encircled, that can really be like 15% of your total fighting force just dying. But in the Japanese case, they will be able to recover both manpower-wise and equipment-wise. And also, once they capitulate China, they can start working on the collaboration level. They can start taking advantage of that very big Chinese manpower pool and industry pool. And if they manage to do that just a month earlier by sacrificing a mountaineer division, that will pay off in no time. So Japan is definitely doing well here.
And as you were saying about the collaboration government, you can see here the Japanese spies are in China setting up collaboration government, which gives decreased resistance once they are occupied, so you get more factories to use. And I have it on good authority that let's say like this.
Again.
Yeah, we're going again. Let's see how it goes.
Let's see if
it's mountain here.
No intel on the combat yet.
He's still alive.
I think they managed to retreat.
Yeah,
they managed to push away.
The Chinese are not attacking right now, so it looks like he'll live.
Yeah, he will live, and they will keep even that little division.
But as I was saying, there are two ways to go once you occupy China. Manchu can become the Great Qing, meaning they get cores on all the provinces here, meaning that they get a higher percentage of all the resources and factories and whatnot. But the other option is that Japan takes most of China, and that is the option that they're going with. So we'll see a small Manchu, as we call it.
And that's a big part of it as well, like core territory. Because if you just occupy territory, then it's occupied territory, right? So you will have resistance there. You will have a sabotage if you don't handle the resistance, and you will have a much harder time mobilizing the manpower and using the industry. But a lot of countries have different focuses and different decisions. That means that you can core up territory. For example, Japan is one example, Manchu. Also Finland, if you go into the continuation war later in the game, Finland can proclaim Greater Finland, for example, if it goes very well for them. And then they will be able to core up a lot of Soviet territory, which solves their manpower problem. Because Finland is an example where you have very few men, so it's very hard to staff all of your defenses. But if you manage to occupy Soviet territory and proclaim Greater Finland, you get the cores in that territory, and you can really utilize that to your advantage. So there are a lot of thresholds where you will be able to take advantage of countries that you occupy. But yeah. Well, we have some information from the technicians booth here. They have been taking drone shots, I hear. So very interesting.
That's very nice. We will have a look at that in just a bit, I think.
Yeah, we'll see if they are able to link up the southern and the northern front here.
Yeah, this looks really promising. I mean, there's a lot of Chinese troops here stuck inside this pocket. They do, however, have their capital here, so this is where the supply runs from.
Yeah.
But that means that all the Chinese who are not connected to the capital, meaning all the Chinese in the inner China here, they will be out of supply.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a thought, right? Because if they take the capital, then the capital will move. So eventually the supply will run from another point.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if they take Beijing, then Chongqing will be the capital.
Yeah.
And then they will be able to supply Chengdu, Changde, and all of these cities in the inner part of China. If they just surround Nanjing, the supply from Nanjing will not be able to reach the inner parts of China, and they can quite easily surround and take those victory points, and later, perhaps through a naval invasion or through a regular push towards Nanjing, finish off the Chinese after they have starved them of supply. And that's a very smart decision, because China is very numerous, and they are also very, very infantry-based. There are a lot of men in the Chinese army that needs the supplies.
Yeah.
So if you cut off the supplies, they really lose a lot of fighting potential. So I think Japan is going the right route here.
We are still paused, not really sure why. why don't we have a look at that drone overview now that we have a hot joining player here?
Yeah, indeed. Let's. Night round asks drone shots from inside the house. No, from outside the house.
And here you see it.
Coming up with a stream here, we see the Axis house from a drone view.
That's beautiful.
Indeed, we see the German car and the British car parked outside here. So the leaders of the two factions, all the flags waving in the air. Very beautiful house. And here we have the Allied house. You can see some of our Allied players moving around here outside. We have the Comintern out here in the outer part of the house, and the regular allies in the inner part of the house. So as you can see, we have production value now.
That's beautiful.
Very nice. Beautiful shots, Lucas.
Really
Fantastic.
Nice. Really nice. Let's have a look how it looks inside the Allied house. Do they look calm and collected? Do they look afraid? We'll see now.
They look rather calm and collected.
A bit. You can see here Jonte, the main controller, with his back to the camera. He's the main controller of the Soviets.
Sticking out your Giat for the Rizzler.
Exactly.
I don't even know what that means. Something with yeah.
What else do we have here? We have Andreas Eriksson. He's eating something. Is that a chicken?
Yeah, he's eating a piece of chicken here.
A piece of chicken. Looks delicious.
Protein for the gains, man.
Some beer, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Cheers, Andreas.
Very fresh view. Olives.
Wow.
Olives. We have the Mediterranean cuisine here.
I think
in the Allied house.
This must be like when you go to an adult land, like instead of Monster and crisps, eating like olives and chicken.
This is a boomer land. We have two houses, cars, production value, olives, and draft beers, but less energy drinks. But there is one energy drink. So
we have a question here from Night Round. Where are you? Sweden? Yes, we are in the southwest of Sweden, outside of a city called Falkenberg.
Yeah, it's the beautiful countryside of Halland region. 6 municipalities in the west of Sweden. Very beautiful beaches, good economy, and we like it here.
Excellent public services.
Excellent public services. We have our own bus company. Nice.
And we have great local politicians as well.
So I've heard.
This guy. So we are in the game again. It seems like everybody's joined. We're just waiting for them to unpause the game. You can see some pictures here from the Allied house. And now you see pictures of the China War, where Japan is doing a great job of it so far.
Steadily working towards linking up those fronts, and I wonder how far they are to triggering the later mobilization waves.
It's a good question. Let's have a look here. First, still on the first wave. We're still on the first wave, and they've taken this much territory. I think that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's impressive, because you really want to take territory before you mobilize the different waves.
Yeah.
And I wonder what happens.
And we are running again, and they have closed the pocket.
When you mobilize the waves, where do they emanate from?
I think inner China, like around here, but I'm not 100% sure. But now we can see what we were talking about with the supply. You see all these Chinese units now.
Can we see the supply map mode, for example, and see how...
we only see the Chinese. Let's see here. Yeah, so red is bad and blue is good. And here around the capital, you see they have a lot of supply, but down here, it's really not very
I mean, the railroads are cut off now. So all the supply emanating from Nanjing, they have very good supply around Nanjing, but that doesn't help them at this point, because they cannot get the supplies to the west of China. So.
And I think the Japanese are in no hurry to close this pocket. They want to take all these victory points in the interior China, and then they can just take this at their leisure.
Yeah, indeed. I think this is looking to be a new meta strategy, because since it's against the AI, you will be able to replicate this. And if this works out as intended, which it seems to do at this point, we are probably going to see most future China wars in the Hygge community being handled in this way, rather than with naval invasions around Nanjing.
But it's quite simple, really, in the how should you say, the structure here. All of his troops are arrayed in two armies here. So there's no small tank force or marine force or anything. It's just like two big armies, one for the south here and one for the north. But it seems to be working fine. So who am I to criticize?
Yeah, small encirclements as well here. I mean, that's probably the way to go with the big Nanjing pocket, because if you have a very big encirclement and still supply from the capital, they are so numerous that it's still quite hard to push through.
Yeah.
But if you manage to divide it up into these small pockets and just kill off the small pockets, you can really move quite fast towards the capital. The Finns did a similar thing in real life called Motti tactics, where they cut off overextended forces, surrounded them, and made them either surrender or die. And that's pretty much what Japan is doing here with the Chinese.
Yeah, and they seem to have captured all of the main supply hubs here in the south, which is of course very important for the supply. Out here in the west, though, things are a bit dicey, as it usually is when you reach the interior of China.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so nice that they get to do this now early on, instead of waiting for later on.
And I mean, that's the challenge as Japan, because as we said before, all of the supply emanates from the capital of your country. And in Japan's case, that is, of course, Tokyo, which is on an island. So all of their supply goes via the sea route. So it's quite the ways from the harbors in southern China towards the inland around Chongqing.
Yeah.
You see where the front is now. And that is probably one way where you could overextend as Japan if you don't capture enough harbors to handle all of that supply. Because, for example, now they have 3 harbors in the south, but had they only had 1 harbor, for example, then that harbor wouldn't be able to handle the amount of supply that the frontline troops would have needed in the west of China, and then it would be the Japanese that are undersupplied. But speaking of undersupplied, now you see that they have basically nothing in the west of China.
Yeah.
So this has proven to be a very successful tactic.
And it's because they lack harbors here. So if you look at the Japan point of view here again, we see the white supply lines here that Victor was talking about, giving supply to all the Japanese armies out there. We compare it to the Chinese. There are no lines of supply here emanating from Nanjing, because there are no harbors here for them to go to. So this entire area, the interior of China, is now very red in the supply, meaning that the Japanese can basically just walk in.
Yeah, and also now I think the last wave has mobilized now. You see there is a lot of Chinese troops as well. And that is very smart that they managed to mobilize the second and the third wave while they have cut off supply from the capital. Because if you have more troops, then you need more supply, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't have that supply, then it doesn't matter if you have more troops, because they can't fight.
Look at all these fresh troops. They are like fully with materials and manpower and so on. They are fully decked, but they are red in supply. You see these red little supply icons here, meaning that they are completely out of supply. So their organization will drop, and they won't get any new material.
Yeah, this will be very interesting to see, like Japan doing this well in the Sino-Japanese war, also going big Japan in order to take advantage of all that industry and the Chinese manpower. This might be very scary for Dankers actually to handle later on.
Yeah. I don't know if we've properly introduced all the Asia Axis players. We should probably do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's start with the main controller of Japan, who is Jacob, that we saw and interviewed briefly upstairs. And Jacob is, of course, a member of the Central Committee. He's one of our strongest overall players, and he has a deep knowledge of the game. He's together with Folk. He's the one who comes up with the rules and so on. He loves his fleet mechanics, and he's often come up with completely new ideas and strategies. He's a formidable player, you could say.
Yeah, indeed he is. And on the second seat of Japan, we have Mako, who is also a very knowledgeable player.
Yeah.
You saw he was the one that was responsible for killing 4 Soviet volunteer divisions. We got information later that was what the applauds were emanating from the second floor, because the Soviet forces, after they retreated to Barcelona, they actually got pushed out and later died. And
that's about as good a result from the Civil War that you can get.
Yeah, indeed.
Killing 4 Soviet volunteers, that's awesome.
Yeah, so Mako has really proven himself, and as the second chair of Japan, and with that micro ability, he hasn't played a lot in the Pacific theater, but I think he can make a very big impact, especially together with Jacob as main controller.
Yeah, because even though Mako only has 1 veterancy stars, he's played many multiplayer games outside of our community, so he's also one of our strongest players. And with him and Jacob on Japan, they may be what's needed to weigh up against the big threats on the US, Dankus Mimicus, who. Yeah,
I mean, that is going to be very scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
it is. But if it's someone that can handle the Dankus onslaught late game, it's probably Mako and Jacob.
Yeah.
With support, of course, from Manchu.
Yeah, and on Manchu we have August. August plays his third game with us in total, so quite a new player. And it's his first game as Manchuria. He has played Siam before, though, so he's somewhat familiar with the theater. I'm sure that he's included in Jacob's master plan, though. And from what I hear, he will go for light tanks that will try to invade the Rosh. Oh, look at this! We got some
very nice.
cheese
We
and
got
torta.
some.
Look at this.
Oh, amazing! This is Boomer Gamer.
This
snack.
is Boomer Lan.
Yeah, this indeed. This is some bresaola, right? It's dried. It's beef. And can I get a knife to cut a little bit of cheese here? Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. You're vegetarian, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
More beef for me then.
It's excellent. And the fourth Asia Access player is our Siam player. And on Siam, let's see. Could you scroll down to Siam maybe? Let's see if we can get it on the screen. Right. We have Simon playing Siam. And his first game with us was in the last Grand Game, where he played Ireland. So Siam is a step up in responsibility from Ireland, but maybe not a big step. He has plans to have the world's most modern cruiser design, so a 1942 hull finished in 1940. Let's see what he does with that. Siam, of course, doesn't have too many dockyards, so don't expect any huge navies. His other strategy is to go for paratroopers that will be used against the British Raj. So the main strategy of Jacob is to focus everything on the US in the beginning. In the beginning of the war, the Japanese get a multiplier called Tora Tora Tora, which makes them pretty invincible at sea and at land, on land. So yeah, he will try to take as many American islands as he can during this modifiers.
I see this a very interesting naval invasion plan here.
I think it's not a naval invasion, is it?
No, probably not.
Oh, is it?
Is it?
Is that a...
From Bangkok to...
I like it. I like
it. It might
from Bangkok to Los Angeles.
It's as a minor nation that might be insanely greedy.
It's aspirational, to say the least.
Indeed. If it succeeds, though, it could really hurt that.
Yeah.
But
another thing that Jacob and the Asia Axis will try is an early naval invasion on the Panama Canal, hoping that Dankus hasn't protected it. Right now, it seems like he has no garrisons there, but it's still very early days, of course. Seems like he's doing the same strategy that a lot of players are doing. They have one so-called training division that you just fill up with a lot of stuff, and then you train it, and you get some EXP for it.
And that's a meta thing, because you get... you want to train your army, because then you get army experience that you use for doctrines, for example. Doctrines, of course, being the manner in which you control your army, and that gives you buffs depending on what doctrine you go. So you can go like... here we see the superior firepower doctrine that focuses on artillery and a lot of like soft attack from artillery support companies and line artillery and so on. Very good if you have good industry or if you don't have a lot of manpower. We have the Grand Battle Plan doctrine, which focuses on planning and making grand battle plans, as the name suggests. Mass assault, which is just throw men at the enemy. Quite a lot of infantry buffs, common for the Soviets. And also we have mobile warfare, which gives you a lot of buff to motorized and tanks, usually run by the Germans, occasionally also by the tank miners of the Axis. And to buy these things, you need army experience, and then you need to train your army. And you get more army experience if you train just one division, because if you train your whole army, if you have like 50 divisions, you train all of them, you get the same experience, right? But you also suffer attrition when you're training. People die in accidents, weapons get broken, and you use fuel, for example. So if you have one division and you train it, then you get the maximum amount of experience compared to the amount of supply that you spend on your training. So that's why people do that.
That's a good summary of the training. Let's have a look here at the surrender progress. So if we see here, Republic of China controls 40% of the victory points and will surrender when it has 26 or less. So still a ways to go. They still need to take some of these victory points here. You can say this one, Nanning, for example, is worth 10. So if they were to take just a few more of these, if they take Nanjing and one of these cities, then the war is over. So. Or maybe it's Xining up here.
Yeah, I think we can check the surrender progress, but they will need to take Nanjing. And that's one of the tougher things, because the supply still emanates from there, and there are quite numerous, the people there. Then again, like the China war is going so much in Japan's favor, so they can technically, I mean, the grinding is not bad either. You get experience, you get veterancy for your troops. And at this point, it is all but over.
Oh yeah, it's very much over. But the question is just how long will it take? And
Indeed, and was that a question in the quiz as well?
I can't remember.
It usually is.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. If you have done the quiz, then you know.
Anyways, when we get to Danziger War, we are having our first raffle, and we are giving out free DLC for Hearts of Iron 4 of your choice. And also you stand the chance to win a content pack, which consists of a bunch of guides, YouTube guides that are usually reserved for our patrons, but you can get them if you win. So if you go to patreon.com/HyggeGaming and become a free Patreon, you will be joining in on the draw later on. And we will have one at the lunch break and one later this evening.
Yeah. And also, if you want to look at good guides on how to play multiplayer, or some highlights from our previous games. We have the previous games where me and Petey have casted, and watch those old games, some highlights, and all of that stuff. Go to our YouTube channel, Hygge HOI on YouTube, and watch the videos, like and subscribe, and support the community.
Yeah. And we still don't have like a huge number of subscribers, so every subscriber counts for us. We're very grateful for your support.
Yeah, indeed. We're making Hearts of Iron. We're doing our bit to make Hearts of Iron a more popular YouTube content.
We make it accessible to the boomers.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, if we did easy game, we would be streaming Minecraft.
Yeah, I guess.
Now instead we have the cameras, we have the drones, we have the people in the houses, and yeah.
I'm getting a bit dry in my throat again.
Yeah, I feel the throat is drying up a bit, to be honest. We have
as technician, you also get drinks for the casters. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we also have Skrotnisse here in the chat, local politician, that explains the drinking. And well, today it will be a lot of drinking, but I stayed sober yesterday because I drove here very late. So.
Yeah, and it was a fancy dinner where you really sacrificed yourself.
Yeah, definitely. No wine package, no nothing. And instead driving here in the middle of the night. So that was nice.
The sacrifices we do for this community.
Yeah, indeed. And since I was sober yesterday, I can be drunk today, right?
Yes, you can.
That was what Churchill said, no?
Yes, and I think it's expected of you, actually.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we haven't talked about the Hygge drinking game that we played today. So we're thinking, and you guys in the chat will have to help us come up with the rules, but I'm thinking when certain things happen, we have to drink, and of course you back at home have to drink as well. So one thing is, I think a successful naval invasion. That's worthy of a drink.
Yeah, a successful naval invasion.
That's rule number one. A successful naval invasion, we have to drink. What else?
I mean, that's going to hurt once we get to the island hopping of the Pacific.
But I mean, we don't have to down an entire drink. We just have to take a drink. So yeah, that's one rule. If you come up with more rules, let us know in the chat. Yeah,
I would say if we get a civil war in any country,
that's a good one.
Yeah. But then you have to take a significantly bigger drink, because that's a big happening.
Yeah, that's usually the result of someone fucking up with the mechanics. You shouldn't see any civil wars apart from the Spanish one.
When a player country caps, you drink. Good one.
That's a good one. But I'm thinking maybe not Holland, Poland, France in the beginning.
Yeah.
Good idea, Nitron. And cheers.
Cheers.
Very good beer.
Yeah, it's very good. I mean, the concept with the draft beers is very nice.
Yeah, the draft beer is simply superior.
Also, it's very easier. It's easier logistically because if you have only bottled beers, you might run out of supply.
Yeah. It's like pack artillery versus rocket artillery.
Yeah, that's good. I used to be a local politician myself, so I understand the need to spend weekends away from budget and plan, beredningskrav, kontra propositionsvotering, etc. And I really understand you there. I feel the same. I take a tequila shot for every time they move around on the map.
That's good. That's hardcore mode. So
Indeed.
we're seeing here, just to butt in with the game here, we see the China war, their strategy seems to be not to close this pocket, but instead focus on the interior of China. And I think that's a great plan, looking again at the supply map mode here of China. Here is all green and nice and dandy because they're close to the capital, which means that they will defend themselves much harder. And over here, it's deep in the red. They are just losing on all fronts. You see here, all these red balloons mean that they are losing a battle. Yeah.
909 fish Luftballon.
Yeah.
It's only red balloons in English, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they don't specify the color in the German version.
No, they don't. They don't. It's an anti-war song.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they will cap quite soon. Are they able to cap them if they don't take Nanjing?
I think so, yeah, because if you look here, now they are...
Because they haven't really made an effort towards Nanjing, so it's the idea that they don't cap.
They only need 8% more, and that is one of these victory points.
Yeah, that's smart. They're not even taking the capital.
Are they close though?
Yeah, I think they will be able to do it rather soon. We have a Corey Taylor 443. Sorry, just rejoined. Has the Spanish Civil War happened? And also, what has Italy done for Africa?
What has Italy ever done for Africa? Well, they have the aqueduct.
Yeah, I mean they won in Mongolia, in Ethiopia quite handily. As per usual, the Spanish Civil War has finished with a nationalist victory, but...
And they managed to kill 4 Soviet volunteers, so a resounding nationalist victory.
Yeah, I would say that the Axis performed above expectation in the Spanish Civil War, because they sent quite few volunteers. They were trying... We got an explanation from Mako earlier when we were up doing the live interviews, where he said that they were world tension starving, so they only sent increments of 1 division every time, so that the world tension ticks didn't go up so much. And that meant that they had a significantly weaker fighting force on the ground in Spain. Meanwhile, the Soviets had 4 divisions, and all of those 4 divisions actually died outside of Barcelona. So
I think they sent 5 and 4 died, but still, yeah.
So that's 4 divisions that... will not be veterans and being able to be put to use, especially in the Finnish Winter War.
Yeah.
If you get a couple of veteran mountaineer divisions from the Spanish Civil War, they can really make quite an impact in the Winter War.
Yeah.
And if the Finnish were to actually eke out a victory in the Winter War, that is very, very good for the Axis, since that locks out the Soviets of certain focuses. And at the same time, also, it means that the Finns get to keep Viipuri, for example, which is both a good population center for manpower, a good supply hub, and also significantly shortens the line. You can see here that you only need the 2 squares to hold against Leningrad. But if Finland loses the Winter War or has to settle for a white peace, which is often the case, then they get a much, much broader front line. And considering the Finnish manpower problems that are also exacerbated by losing Viipuri, it's very hard to staff that line, which spells a much harder continuation war. So it will be very interesting to see what happens there.
Thank you to our Finland expert.
Yeah, I've played it sometimes.
Yeah. As to your other question, what Italy is doing in Africa, I think you may be disappointed. His plan is to try to take as much French territory as he can in the beginning before France surrenders. But I am unsure how much he will be able to get. We will have to see. Later on, though, the Axis do not plan to attack Egypt, as is usually the case. So Italy will, of course, have defenses here, but he won't get any tanks or anything from Germany to help him. So we'll probably see quite a stagnant North Africa, unless the Allies choose to attack.
Yeah, we have Skrotnes once again in the chat. Was it last time we had some Romanian marine spreading chaos? Have we seen anything unexpected like that going on besides the German sneak fleet? Well, I would say that Japan's handling of the Sino-Japanese War has been, well, not unexpected because they have told us about it, but a new tactic that has proven very successful.
Yeah.
The happening which Skotnes is referring to is when the Romanian Marines invaded across the Black Sea one game. So they
Soviets didn't notice.
Yeah, I mean that was really. I think they won play of the game for that because they invaded from like the coast of Bulgaria and Romania towards the oil fields of Baku, which meant that once they took Baku and Grozny and Tbilisi and those places, the Soviets lost pretty much all their oil. And they did not have the fuel to run the tanks because we had a heavy tank Soviet game.
Yeah.
And one thing about heavy tanks is that they require a lot of oil to run. And eventually that meant that the Soviets crumbled. And I think the Axis actually managed to eke out the victory that game. It was very close, but they would not have won if it had not been for the Romanian and Bulgarian invasions of the oil fields of Baku. So
yeah. I was amazed at how long the Soviets managed to fight with their heavy tanks, even though they had like zero fuel for most of that time.
Yeah, I mean they become pretty much artillery pieces because I mean they can't move, but if you attack into the heavy tanks with infantry and they are there, then you're still gonna have trouble.
Look at this. We are very close to a surrender of China here. 29. They only need 3% more, and then China has capitulated.
Yeah, this is an impressive performance by Jacob on Japan. We see 147 casualties on the side of the Japanese and 3.25 million on the side of the Chinese, and probably a lot of encirclements, which has rendered infantry equipment for the Japanese and the Manchukuan. So.
Yeah.
A very good China war.
Yeah, they probably really farmed the Chinese equipment because when the Chinese spawn with their waves and then they have no supplies, they are easy pickings for the Japanese. And if you manage to encircle them, you get a percentage of the equipment. So they probably managed to build up quite a stockpile from it.
Most of the things have been looking very good for the Axis so far. Then again, like you often get, you get a false impression there because usually, much as in real life, in the early parts of the war, the Axis usually set the pace. They are the ones dominating on the battlefield. They choose when to start the different wars, which way to push. Meanwhile, the Allies are on the defensive. But we have seen quite a few games, especially the latest, like 4 or 5 games, where the Allies have had a very high win percentage because eventually the Axis run out of momentum, especially on the Eastern Front. The winter comes, you lose your buffs. Meanwhile, the Soviet industry builds up and eventually you just get pushed back and you don't have an answer to an up-and-coming USA and a reconquered France, and the Axis usually lose in that case.
Yeah, we have seen it many times before. The Axis win the Spanish Civil War, and then they take very handily, like Poland, Holland, France, Norway, Denmark, as they did in history, and then they feel really overconfident and psyched, and then they just fall apart on the Eastern Front. We've seen that many times, so nothing is decided before it's decided, so to speak.
Yeah, indeed. I remember we had a very interesting game once we switched up the meta on El Alamein, because historically, not historically, but historically in our games, El Alamein has been very static, or much as in history, where you just had 2 lines of tanks really just pushing against each other like this. Eventually one of them broke, or Barbarossa started and the Axis had to pull out, or the Allies had some trouble and had to pull out. And it was really just a game of attrition where the tanks beat against each other outside El Alamein. But we have seen now daring naval invasions in North Africa, the latest games where you try to invade around like Tel Aviv and those harbors.
Suicidal naval invasions.
Yeah, indeed, because that was indeed what happened that time when the Axis did a very big naval invasion of Tel Aviv, and they pushed all the way down to the Sinai Peninsula. We thought it was over, but they were cut off by the Allied forces and lost a lot of troops in that theater. And it's really a high risk, high reward strategy that you can do there.
And I do think that's their defensive strategy as well. From talking to the Axis players yesterday, their plan of defense is basically that if the allies start pushing across the border, then they will try to naval invade them in the back. And that is, of course, always a risky move.
Yeah, and that also comes down a lot to the Navy game, because there are island hopping going down in the Mediterranean as well. If you get like Crete and Cyprus and these important islands in the Mediterranean, the Navy that gets them, if they are under the control of Axis, then it's the allies that have to be scared for naval invasions in the back. And
naval bombers.
Yeah, naval bombers. And the other way around, of course. So if the Axis manage to keep those islands, then the Axis can't push too far, because they might get naval invaded in a harbor in the back, and then you lose a lot of expensive troops. Because supply is very low in North Africa as well, so you don't want to use manpower heavy.
We see the border conflict here with the Soviet Union, which is a scripted event thingy.
Yeah, interesting. See how that pans out. As of now, the Japanese are not doing too rosy.
No, we are very close to a surrender here, but they are still hanging on. 2% to go, and then China will have capitulated. And I can take off my hat.
Yeah, we have some speculations in the chat here. Romania was 2 games ago with Pontus, who is on Raj now. But that was a great move, and indeed it was. I love all the silly gambles I've done to win Africa. That's
yeah.
And yeah, we have seen a lot of silly gambles in Africa. And Africa is one of those theaters that you kind of underestimate, because it is not like the main theater. You can win or lose Africa and still win or lose the game. But you have oil there. You have an invasion venue to the south of Europe if you're the allies, or you can block off an invasion venue. And also, if you manage to take the Suez Canal without the opposing side blowing it up, that can really set you up for stuff down in India, for example, because the supply route is so much shorter through the Suez Canal than around the Cape.
Also worth to mention is there are 2 allied players that you can knock out if you manage to take Africa. So that's always, a factor.
Indeed, we have South Africa is one of those countries. We might actually pull up the South African player.
Why don't we present South Africa? I think it's Hygge, right?
I think it's Hygge as well. Let's see.
Yeah.
Indeed, it is.
And Hygge is an excellent player. He's played a lot of major countries as of late. He's never played South Africa before, though, but I think he can be expected to do really well. Also, the same situation as with Magnus, who's playing Canada, really. Like, he's also used to playing bigger countries, but now he has this narrow focus of building tanks. I think Hygge is going for medium tanks. We usually see heavy tanks on South Africa, but now I think he's going for medium tanks.
Interesting choice. But he will be able to get out more of those, so he will have some margins to play with, and that might be good, because if you get surrounded and die, and you have like 2 heavy tank divisions as South Africa, then you're pretty much out of the game until very late. But if you do medium tanks, you have a bit more wiggle room.
Yeah, that's very true. He's also doing the same training division stunt as we've seen other players do. Just one division training, so we don't get any hints at what he's doing later on. You can look a bit at his techs, and they seem to be geared a bit towards the tanks. We'll see how that develops. We're still waiting for the China war to finish any second now. Let's have a look.
Yeah, we'll see. They didn't manage to finish it before the year shifted, but still a very good China war.
Still making good time. They plan to do a late invasion of the Allies, or late Pearl Harbor, you could say. So probably around the historical date, December 41, which means they will get almost, I don't know, two years to prepare for the war, which is quite nice. They get 2 years of Chinese factories working for the Axis instead. So yeah, an early China war is a real boon to him.
Let's zoom in a bit. Is there any victory points in the western part of China left?
I think they took Kunming. Here's one. There was one up here. Did they manage to take that as well? No.
Yeah, they have...
this would be enough to win, but it's quite defended.
Yeah, they have trouble with the supply. As we said before, if you put the supply map mode, you see that Japan is starting to get a bit of problems on the outer front, because it's so far from the harbor supplying from Tokyo.
They seem to be building railways as they go, though, because this was all in the red before, and now it's nice and green.
Yeah, I think we will see. They are preparing. I mean, they are doing good time. They don't want to overextend, so I would imagine they finish up the railway so they can supply the northwestern front, and then they're just going to pick off that victory point and win the war.
Don't you get like percentage for every tile? I think it's like 1% for every tile, so they just need to take 2 tiles, really, I think.
Yeah, that might be, actually. I think, but they might be grinding some, because, I mean, if you are doing this good time on the Sino-Japanese war, it might actually be good to get your veterans up. If we look at the armies of the Japanese player here, you can see that these troops are nothing to scoff at. You get... what's that? How much? 37% plus modifier in combat.
That's a lot.
And that is going to be...
These are all the highest level units right now. Look at this.
Oh yeah, this is a really, really scary Japan.
This seems to be the place where they're pushing right now, in the interior here.
And I think, I mean, if you're Japan at this case, if I was Jacob going up against Dankus on the US, I would really utilize the momentum. You really need to be aggressive from the get-go and never really let up, and just keep steamrolling once you have the Tora buff and you have all these veteran troops, because eventually the US will get back in the game. Even if you have, doesn't really matter if you have a bad or a good player on the US, eventually the tiger will awaken. But if Dankus is the tiger, he will probably awaken a bit sooner than your run-of-the-mill United States player, and I think Jacob really knows that.
When I spoke to Jacob about his strategy, it was, as we said, an America First strategy. So he's going for the American islands. And there's a mechanic in this mod, which means that if the Axis control the islands, the Axis in Europe also get buffs to their... Let's see, we don't have it here.
Yeah, the war hasn't started.
Yeah, it'll come later when the war starts. But the more islands the Axis hold, the better the multipliers are for the Axis in Europe. So it's really significant who owns these islands. Jacob was saying when he was talking about facing Dankus and so on, that he has a good chance during Tora, where his troops are basically invincible. So he will try to take as many islands as he can during that time. Maybe make it all the way to Hawaii. Maybe invade California. We'll see. That's probably the best case scenario, which I don't think he will reach.
Yeah, we'll see. Siam had some plans there, but I think it's greedy.
Let's see if they still have that naval invasion. That's pretty cocky.
Yeah, just one division, so it's probably just a try. So, like, if they manage to get, because the thing is, I mean, you need naval supremacy all the way.
Zones,
So it's doubtful if he will get the invasion off.
Yeah, I don't think this is a real invasion.
But he might have like a second or so. He will try to press the button. If it goes off and there is no one in Los Angeles, he could cause a bit of a headache. But he can never really capitalize on it, because Dankus will just kick him out, and it's just one division.
Yeah. Jacob was saying, though, that if Dankus went Europe First strategy, then Jacob really has to reconsider, because he's banking on Dankus being focused on him. So he's got full focus on beating the US. But if the US chooses to go to Europe, then he has to rethink and try to take as much territory as possible to alleviate the pressure on the Euro axis. But having spoken to Dankus, I know that Dankus' focus is to go for Japan first. So we have a US going for Japan first, a Japan going for the US first. So they will really be butting heads from day one there.
Yeah, we'll see a very interesting Pacific theater, and that can really impact the European theater as well, because you always have this scenario where if you're the Soviets and Barbarossa starts, you are going to get pushed back quite a bit. And we have seen a lot of times where the Soviets are getting pushed, Moscow is threatened and so on, and they are like, you need to do a D-Day now. We need a D-Day in order to alleviate the pressure. And if that D-Day is too late, the Soviets might fall. But then again, if the D-Day is too early, then you might lose a lot of troops.
So there is the capitulation of China, and right now Japan has all the territory. Let's see if they give some. Yeah, they're giving some to Manchu, which is only right, because Manchu do get the cores. You want to beef off Manchu a bit at least. But
yeah, it's always good to give them their cores, right? Because they can utilize that better than Japan, and you also don't have to garrison them to keep resistance in check and so on.
March 39, so really quick war, really well done.
Yeah.
China war is over. I take off the Chinese hat.
Yeah. Hats off for Jacob in the Sino-Japanese War. Very well performed.
And now we are in 1939, which means two things. We will have a Finnish Winter War at some point, and then we will have the big war when Germany demands Danzig or war.
I think big war is before the Winter War.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's before, because after first you have the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, which Germany should be going any minute now. And then they demand Danzig, and they get denied Danzig, and the guarantees from the British and the French kick in, and that's the World War. And once the Soviets have occupied the eastern part, then they make the demands for Karelia, and Finland denies that, and then it's on.
Yeah. Yeah, we can see here he's taking all the focuses before Molotov-Ribbentrop, and then he can go for Danzig or war. So theoretically, we could see war in just above 2 months, but we'll see when they choose to go for it.
Yeah, I have heard like they want to do it quite late, right? Or I mean, they have started. I mean, that's a general tactic of the Axis, I feel, because the Japanese waited quite a while to start the Sino-Japanese War. So the Axis have not really been in a rush. I mean, at this point, world tension is at 82%, so that's a moot point. But you really want to utilize your industry, because the fascist countries and the communist countries, for that matter, have a much easier time transitioning to war economy, because they don't have the intricacies of democracy, so to speak. Because the United States, for example, they need congressional support for all of the decisions that they take, and you need to work up the support in Congress, and that costs you a lot of political power. And if you're a democratic nation, the people demand a much higher standard of living, so to speak. So you have much harder time transitioning from a civilian economy to a war economy. And
case in point here, we see Dankes on the US. He's on the civilian economy. He's also on the disarmed nation, so he can't recruit that many troops. Still has a good amount of manpower.
He's probably still suffering the effects of the Great Depression, right? Or he has managed to handle that, because the United States starts with a lot of debuffs from the Great Depression, and they really need to spend a lot of political power in order to get like the New Deal through Congress, in order to re-elect Roosevelt, and that really costs you a lot. Meanwhile, the autocratic countries can use their political power fully towards the war effort, and the Axis can really utilize that advantage.
Yeah. So I'm having a look here at Finland, where Krister plays, right?
Yeah,
and,
I think so.
Yeah, and he's doing the defensive organization here, that he's giving up the north of Finland, and doing the defensive line here further south from Oulu. What do you think about this strategy?
Yeah, well, as the first winner of the Winter War, I mean, Finland has a manpower problem, so you can't keep the whole line. So it's very smart to give up the north. Also, we have a rule that the Soviets cannot naval invade during the Winter War, so you don't need to worry about your ports. And as you see here, Finland is the country of 1,000 lakes. So if you place your defensive lines in between the lakes, for example here, between this lake, let's see, there, and so you have the river. You always want to defend by the river, and here
he's standing in front of the river.
It's a mirror here.
He should move behind the river.
Yeah, he should definitely move behind the river, and just place in between the lakes, because in between these two lakes there are only 2 tiles. But the line is significantly broader behind the lake. So you want to give up this river and just man as few tiles as possible, with as solid troops as possible, because you get a lot of buffs. If you look at the Finnish political situation, you see that they have the sisu. If you press the portrait of Viljo there, you see that if you increase the public trust in your political leader in Finland, you get sisu. And if you get very high sisu, you get a lot of defense on your core territory. And if you have fully stocked divisions, full sisu, and like the ski support companies and the focuses, it's very, very hard for the Soviets to break through that. It's just that you need to juggle a bit, because the Soviets usually get like a couple of tank divisions out, and you have trouble, like you might get pushed in one tile, you need to retake that, so it's a lot of micro play. So it's very challenging to do the Finnish the Winter War.
Yeah.
But it's also quite a cookie cutter. You know what is the most effective, and you just do that and hope that it works out.
Yeah. And you can see here his division templates are quite clear. He had the Karhu, the bear units, and they are a bit smaller, only 15 width, so he can get more of them for defense. And then he has the stronger ones. Where did we have? Over here. So these seem to be more of a quick response force to go where they're needed. And these are the 30 width. You can see.
Yeah, I mean this is a strong division, and you see that support company there,
which is special for Finland.
Yeah, and I mean if you see the terrain bonuses there, that is very good, especially considering the manpower. It's 500 manpower for all of these bonuses. It's very easy to staff, but it helps a lot when defending Finland. And we have seen, for example, first time I won the Winter War as Finland, it was because Magnus forgot to press a button. But the second time I won the Winter War, it was because the Soviets did a Hail Mary push from Leningrad, and they pushed all their troops from Leningrad. They didn't manage to push through, and then the troops lose their organization, because as we discussed before, they might be full strength, but if they push and they have to retreat, then they have zero organization, and they need to regroup and regain that organization. And if Finland manages to take Leningrad and hold it for like 10 days or something, then they can force the Soviets to the negotiation table. And they do not need to incur the losses that you would otherwise need to, because the Finnish war is quite a long affair, usually, because the only way the Finnish can win the Winter War is if they inflict a lot of losses on the Soviets. And eventually they will, if the Soviets doesn't push through. But it takes a long time, and it's a long time to be at war for Finland. And they lose equipment and manpower too. But if they manage to take Leningrad, and they can force that quick win in the Winter War, then Finland really alleviates a lot of their manpower problem as well. So it can have a lot of impact.
I'm having a look here at the Soviet order of battle, and besides the garrison frontline units, we have some mountaineers up here. Which should be good for this terrain, and also some light tanks, but not a significant number of the light tanks. We see some more moving up here, but they had about 15 from the beginning. It's 7.
And if you look at these mountaineers as well, since they lost the 4 mountaineers in the Spanish Civil War, if they had managed to get those mountaineers out of the Spanish Civil War, they would have 4 veteran mountaineers. And as we saw before in Japan, the veteran modifier means that you get a 37 plus bonus in combat ability. And if you had those 4 mountaineers at this point, it would be very hard for Finland to hold the line. But these mountaineers only give a combat modifier of, I think it's 10% or something when they're at this level. And that difference of 27% can really speak to the advantage of the Finns. Because if you can't push through, you can't push through, right? And the Finns just need to stand there. And it will take a long time for these mountaineers to gain the veterancy they need to push through the Finns.
It looks like the Soviets are moving all their mountaineers and all their light tanks to Petrozavodsk. And so this is from here that the main attack of the Soviets will come. And Finland is, I guess, ready for that. They have a front line, but will it be enough? We'll see. These guys, the strong divisions, they are ready to reinforce, but they're a bit away, so we'll see if they manage to hold the line. It looks like he's taking some... he's training, so that's why he's taking attrition. Germany is doing the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, which means... No, he's doing something else, but he finished the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, which means he can take Danzig War at any time. So we're looking at a war pretty soon. He's got another focus now, battlefield support thingy.
We had Arvex asked here, why can't the Soviets do naval invasions? They did on me. And if you play against the AI Soviets, they are very keen on naval invasions. And also in the continuation war, the Soviets can do naval invasions. And that is also one of the things that if Finland is starting to get pushed in the Winter War, then you want to make peace as soon as possible, really, because if you get your troops surrounded, if you look at Finland now, they have 24 divisions. So if they were to get,
and they're all out manpower. So these are all the divisions they're getting right now.
Yeah, indeed. And if they get, let's say they get 5 divisions encircled and they die, then that's a fifth of their total fighting power that they lose. And if that also means if they get 5 divisions encircled and they die, then they are also going to lose the Winter War. So then they will lose Viipuri, and they will have 0 manpower. And when the continuation war breaks out, they might not have enough manpower to hold the line and garrison the ports. So when the Soviets can naval invade, you might see a quick cap of Finland if they are not supported by Germany. And of course, Germany does not want to do that if they can avoid it, because they need all the power they can on the Eastern Front.
And yeah, the reason we don't allow naval invasions or paradrops during the Winter War is just this. If you look at the Finnish line here, he has just exactly what he needs to defend, and not a bit more. These are just 15 widths, so they're not very strong. So if you imagine that he would have to take maybe I don't know, a fourth of this to protect his ports, he would be really, really weak, and that's no fun.
But have a look at the supply map mode here in Finland, because I was thinking that, he has built a supply hub there. I don't know if it is there originally, but that's the meta when you play the Finnish Winter War, that you build a supply hub close to the front so that you can supply all of these troops in between the lakes.
Yeah. Christer was saying, though, that he tried to get the logistics wizard trait for this guy. I can't see that he's gotten it.
He hasn't. He has managed to get adaptable, though.
Oh, wait, maybe that was the field marshal. Yeah, here you go. So,
Indeed.
So that's why he doesn't need the extra.
Yeah, and that's a very, very big one.
Yeah.
We have a question from Rosenplatt here. How many dockyards does Japan and the United States have right now?
That's a good question. I think Dankus, when he heard about our rule set, he was like, "Oh, you have no limit on dockyards? Then I'm going to build a lot of dockyards." Let's have a look at Japan first.
Yeah, we see Manchu has gotten a bit bigger since we last looked as well.
Oh, that's nice. It's the name is bigger on the map. That's nice.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the dockyards here. So naval dockyards 67.
Yeah.
Not a huge amount, but still. And the US 119.
119.
Can have a look at his construction. He's building civilians. I think he's just finishing up his dockyard construction.
Yeah.
He probably built a lot more just earlier. But he's building civilians now, even though the US has quite a number of civilians. But yeah.
Can we have a look at the fleet as well? I'm very interested to see what Dankus has put out to sea.
Yeah. We're having a
this is an impressive fleet.
Seems like he's converted battleships to being carriers, but otherwise we have a bunch of battleships in this fleet.
Can we see the Japanese fleet as well?
The other one's only like convoy escort and that kind of thing. Let's have a look at the Japanese one.
You have to go to army map mode to tag in.
There we go. These are, let's see. So Jacob is going carriers, I think. These are his early battleships, cruisers. So this is not the carrier fleet, I guess. Here we have the carrier fleet. So we got some converted battleships and so on.
They are veterans now as well, as you see.
Yeah. Is that from sinking Chinese ships?
Yeah, probably. I mean, the Chinese war went so well for Japan. So, I mean, their entire army is pretty much veterans. Their fleet is veterans. And you get Tora buff. So, once we enter the Pacific War, I would say that Jacob has a significant advantage on Dankus that he will need to leverage.
Yeah, we'll see. Dankus plans to make amphibious tanks for later, so he's going to have a big fuck-off fleet and then amphibious tanks, and he will go for Japan first. We'll see how he does.
Yeah. And I mean, the American Amtraks, at some point, American Amtraks and American fleet superiority will just kill Japan. So it's all a matter of how you leverage your early game advantage, I would say.
Yeah.
We see German
we have
battle
plans for war. So that means that we will have a lunch break in 5 days, but not for you guys in the stream, but for the players. So this means that you and me will have to split up, and we take some interviews. So who would we like to interview first?
Well, it would be nice. We could try to get someone from the Allied House. We have been very interested in hearing the Soviet battle plans.
Maybe that's a bit complicated, seeing as they will be off eating and so on.
Oh yeah, true.
Let's get some Axis players here for the lunch break. But I'm thinking,
Do we get them in the studio?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? Maybe we could take Jacob first, and he can talk about this China war and gloat a bit about it being so successful. So he will be the first lunch interviewee, and one of us will go to eat something, and then we switch with another interviewee, and a different chapter.
We see here that Poland has refused the German ultimatum of ceasing dancing, and it is indeed war. We'll see. Do we have a player on Poland in this game?
Yes, we do.
We do. Let's talk about them briefly.
Yeah.
Because Poland is one of those countries. You might think that, oh, do you want to play Poland? You're just going to die, right? And of course that is the truth, but you get a lot of factories in exile, you get a lot of focuses, you can really utilize Poland to its full potential once you have capitulated.
Yeah, and once you capitulated, of course, you can't be invaded again, so you're pretty free to be wherever you want to be. And playing Poland, we have Ivar, and Ivar has actually been with the community for 6 years, but he's only played 2 games with us. So the first game was in 2018, where he played Sweden, when we had Sweden as a playable fascist country. And the other time was a year ago when he joined Bergagårdhof. So yeah, this will be his 3rd game with the community. I mean, expectations are low since he's a new player, but he can surprise. As you were saying, Poland can do some real difference once they've capitulated.
Yeah. Also, I think, we have seen a lot of our newer players impress the latest games, because there has been so many expansions. First, we had Arms Against Tyranny, which is where we got this nice medal from Paradox. Thank you. And also we have had new focuses on South America or so the meta has shifted a lot. So sometimes it's very good to look at it with fresh eyes. If you prepare a lot before, and if you haven't played for a while, then you do not have that meta tunnel vision that you can sometimes get otherwise. So that might speak to Ivar's advantage.
Yeah, very true. As we were saying, Germany is not building many tanks. These are his only tanks, and these are the starting light tanks. So he's banking hard on the Axis miners to solve the armored part. Let's have a look here at Hungary, for example. No, they still don't have a proper army. Romania still doesn't have an army. Yeah, the Axis miners seem to be preparing for a later date. Albania does have some stuff.
Yeah, indeed they do. And Albania we have seen as a high-impact country historically. They para-dropped Moscow once.
Yeah, that was their finest hour.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, many of these small countries, like when we talked about Ireland before, we say that, okay, the impact will probably be low, but you don't expect them.
No,
that's the thing. Like suddenly, that's the thing with Poland as well. Since they have off-map factories, since they have air volunteers and stuff like that, suddenly they can just appear somewhere, and you're not prepared for it. And that's one of the strengths of these smaller countries.
Yeah, definitely.
No one expects the Polish Inquisition.
Now, here for an interview, we have Jacob, who is the main controller of Japan. Should I do the interview?
Yeah, you are sitting in the right place.
Okay.
So I think it's easier.
So go have something to eat and maybe find another interview victim, and you can go switch this off after a while.
Indeed.
Perfect. So Jacob, like I said, is the main controller of Japan, and he just finished a very successful China war in record time, I think, if you're not counting the paratrooper cheese that we've seen sometimes. And yeah, he's getting mic'd up as we speak, and here he is.
Here I am.
So congratulations to a record quick China war.
Thank you. Yeah, we're satisfied. Obviously, because
it went according to plan, I suppose.
Yeah, it did, and we got like 250,000 guns from the Chinese.
Yeah, we were talking about that. You probably stole a lot of equipment.
Yeah, I guess we didn't encircle much. We just took victory points, so we didn't kill that many Chinese.
And the waves spawn in the interior of China, right?
They spawn everywhere.
Okay.
All of the controlled territory.
But since you'd taken or you had encircled the capital, which was in Nanjing.
Yeah.
So all the supply came from Nanjing, but they had no ports in to the interior of China, so they were instantly out of supply. And basically, that's free equipment, right?
Yeah, but the thing is that like the Chinese don't really use supply because the AI is cheating.
They use supply.
No. Eventually, when they get like the determination spirits, they have like a negative supply use. Just because, the AI is bad.
Okay.
So
the supply thing was not an issue?
No.
Okay.
No.
There we go. We learn something new every day.
Yeah. So that was fun. We actually could have done the China war earlier, but we did the mistake of advancing a little too quick.
Yeah, we saw your mountaineer almost got lost there. He was snaking towards the interior of China, and he almost got cut off there.
Yeah, but I think we saved him. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you saved him.
Yeah, like I did the south, and Marco did the north.
Yeah.
So that was the division. But the problem is we had like a spy in Chengdu or something.
Yeah.
And when we took that tile, the spy went back to Japan.
Okay.
So we couldn't do the last collab in time.
Ah, that's irritating.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'd be able to like capitulate it in like October 38.
Right.
So we got delayed by we got quite delayed actually.
But you were done in March, which is still really really fast. And I mean, we looked at your armies, and you have veterans on almost all of them.
Yeah.
So that's
and crazy generals, and like it's a good war.
Although not much on the naval invader trades, right?
No, but I don't think we'll need it that much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like we'll get a lot of like national focus things.
Yeah.
That makes the naval invader like obviously good, but not essential.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So looking forward, then you're going for quite a late war with the Allies, right?
We are.
Yeah,
we are.
So around the historical date, December 41, or
December 7th.
December 7th, 1941.
A date which will live in infamy.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's great. And you're going for like the American islands first and foremost.
Yeah.
And how do you think your chances are there?
I think they're good. Unless something is messed up, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Like I'm fairly confident in our like initial push.
Yeah.
It's
during Tora.
Yeah, like it's the slog that I'm worried about.
Yeah.
So like in I don't know, like May 42, then I'm starting to get worried. But up until then, I'm fairly sure it's gonna be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by May 42, you're hoping to have a bunch of airfields on different islands, so you can
airfields, tanks, a ton of marines.
Oh, you're going for amphibious tanks as well.
Yeah.
Nice.
We'll do the whole shebang.
Yeah. But so after you take the American islands, let's say you get to Pearl Harbor and you've taken all the islands. Tora is over, but where do the marines and amphibia tanks go after that?
We'll go in like a clockwise formation. so like we start at Hawaii at like 3 o'clock, and then we go down and take
Papua New Guinea.
New Guinea and New Zealand, Australia, Indonesia, and end up in Raj. And if we've done all that, we've had a good game.
Yeah. But the Manchu player and the Siam player, they're not sitting waiting around, right? When you're off taking islands, they're doing something.
Yeah, they're not. They're gonna take like Singapore and start prodding into India.
Yeah. So Siam is going for paratroopers, if I understand it correctly.
Yeah. And we have a tank Manchu.
How do you take Singapore with paratroopers and light tanks?
With determination. But like like we will have Japanese troops there as well. It's just like the main focus is gonna be on
for sure.
That. Like I have a co-op. He's the like army and the navy.
Yeah.
So we have like the historical Japanese rivalry.
Who gets the fuel, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, but you'll still be controlling the marines and amphib tanks and so on.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, and the navy.
And the navy, of course. Not to forget the navy. That's a pretty important one.
It is.
So you're going a carrier build, right?
I am.
We just had a look at your navy. You converted some battleships to carriers, or
I haven't done that yet. I might do that like if I lose the main fleet.
Right.
It's like plan B.
Yeah.
But right now I'm just focusing on building up like the main navy.
Yeah, and we have there's a certain point cap thingy with the navy. Like you can't build your navies too big in our mod. Maybe you could explain the intricacies of it a bit.
Yeah, so like the mod has like a point system, so every admiral is capped at 150 admiral points, and different ship has different values.
Yeah.
So like a destroyer has a value of 1, and the light cruiser has a value of 2, and so on. And obviously, like the bigger the ship, the more points you use.
Right.
So like a lot of the Navy things you have to consider is like the balance of everything, because.
And what's the point of all this?
The point of all this is to make Navy more engaging by discouraging death stacks.
Yeah, because that was the meta before. You just gathered all your ship into one pile and sent them off.
Yeah, and hope for the best, basically. And that makes it very hard to like get supremacy and all of that stuff. So we have some house rules regarding lots of things.
Yeah. And some gentlemanly agreement, I guess.
And some gentlemanly agreement
among the major naval nations.
Exactly. So yeah, that's the idea. So it kind of incentivizes having multiple fleets, which is fun.
Yeah. But you have like one main battle fleet, right? Or...
Yeah, I'll have one main battle fleet and one subsidiary fleet.
Yeah. And you can only use one battle fleet in a battle at a time as well, right?
Yeah.
So there are some rules regarding Navy. Navy is an area that few of us understand, to be honest.
But it's very rewarding.
It's very rewarding.
Yeah.
And if you want to learn more about Navy, you can always check out our YouTube channel, which has guides on Navy and much, much more when it comes to this game. So check out Hygge HOI on YouTube.
That's true.
Did you? Yesterday was the first time meeting Dankus, your opponent, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, same for me. He's never been at a physical event of ours before.
No.
So did you get a feel for him? Did you like try to
he revealed
get him off balance a bit? Or?
Yeah. He revealed that Mac was a traitor and he told us all of his plans. But I'm confident that even with full intel, I will be able to beat him. No. Now we had some friendly banter, introduced each other, and tried to get each other drunk.
Did you succeed?
I'm not sure. And the problem is, like, I have to be sober for the China War. He doesn't have to be sober until, like, in 3 years. So
yeah. So you think he'll get really proper drunk in the morning and then sober up in time for war?
I mean, I hope not. I hope he's still drunk, but I think Drunkus is easier to beat than Dankus.
Yeah. I think so too. It's a formidable opponent. Yeah, he's probably like one of the world's strongest Hearts of Iron players.
Yeah,
but he is alone though. Like he's controlling all of it alone. Is there an angle where you could try to like overwhelm him? I mean, micro-wise, we sometimes see that strategy deployed against the UK. Like the UK gets attacked in Asia and in Africa, and, everywhere at once, and the single player there has a hard time keeping up.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It kind of depends on what he's going for.
Yeah.
But I am betting on him trying to defend his main islands and then focusing a lot on the Navy.
Yeah.
And we can see he's built like 100 dockyards or something.
Yeah.
So he's going all in on Navy, which is fun because so are we.
So what do you think he will do with that Navy? You spoke, when we spoke a bit yesterday, you talked about if he were to go a Europe first strategy, that would mess up your plans a bit. From what you've seen so far,
I mean, it wouldn't mess up my plans. It would mess up Johannes' plans.
Yeah. It would probably mess them up pretty well.
Yeah.
Johannes being Badger, the main controller of Germany.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so if he goes for Europe first, you would have to take as much territory as you can really quickly, I guess.
And then I would have to visit California.
Yeah. Force him to go to
the west. Exactly.
Yeah. You will definitely get high fives from the studio if you land in California. That would be epic. An epic moment.
Yeah, that's that's the real medal.
Yeah. The war within the war, so to
the war within the war.
We saw early on now, maybe it was a bit of psychological warfare, but Siam had a naval invasion planned towards Los Angeles from Bangkok. His one training division was rearing and ready to go, but it seems like he's taken it away now. But
he's got a dream. Yeah, have to encourage that.
Yeah, but you also talked about going for the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
So you'll have a naval invasion plan like from the start of the war?
We will. I would say in about a year, you will see a lot of Japanese naval invasion.
Yeah, like the Japanese octopus spreading out the map. Yeah, that's what you want to see. Because at the outbreak of the war, you can do a lot of naval invasions simultaneously.
And for that, we need the next naval invasion tech, which I have not researched.
Right.
good coming down
reminder.
here. And yeah.
I inadvertently helped the Axis now to remember things I forgot.
Yes, to realize the dream of Japanese California. Yeah.
So you have quite newish players on Siam and Manchu, at least compared to you and Mako. How has the planning gone? Have you?
It's gone fine. Yeah. Like we have a very nice Google Docs. With like the
made by you, I suppose.
Made by me. With like a PP spend order and like this is what you're gonna build. This is what your division's gonna look like. This is like the template of the tank and so on.
Yeah.
So
and Mako has pretty intricate knowledge of the mod in the game as well. Have you learned a lot from each other?
Yeah, I think so. I'm a bit better on Navy, and he's a bit better on like the ground.
Yeah, and
so that's a
he was responsible for coordinating the Spanish Civil War.
He was. So that's fine.
Yeah.
He's a good micro player, which is what I need.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it'll be exciting to see if you first if you manage to take Singapore. I guess that's a big key to it, but that's not your area, so to speak. You just have to take care of it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. We have plenty of like divisions that could go for Singapore.
Nice.
With like 250,000 guns from the Chinese, we will never have to produce another gun again.
Oh, that's great. Actually.
Yeah.
So right now we're the higher level stuff later on, maybe. Or?
We do, but only for like the really good stuff. We have quite a bit of a spearhead mentality right now.
Yeah. That number of equipment captured, was that bigger than in your training exercise, or?
It's roughly the same.
Yeah,
it's
roughly you did go. The war did go on for a bit longer, so maybe you managed to take more equipment, or
is it? I actually think we got less because when the war drags on for longer,
they lose equipment to attrition.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm happy about the amount.
Cool.
But yeah, and I see a comment from Rosen here. How many dockyards does Japan and the US have right now?
Yeah, we actually we checked that before, and you're not allowed to be privy to that.
Oh, okay. But I'm going for roughly 80, and it seems like Dank is 130, maybe something like that.
I can say you're not too far off.
Yeah. It's like within the range of my spy network.
Yeah.
So
how's the spy war going?
It's going fine, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
found any American spies?
Most of it. No American spies, but I have intel on most other guys.
Yeah.
And I just upgraded my agency, so hopefully they don't see that I went long war. But they're gonna figure it out. But
are you getting collaboration governments on any of the allied countries?
Yeah.
All of them?
Yes, including America.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. I like to see it. Ambitious.
It's ambitious, but it's also like a mental thing.
Yeah.
Because if we join the war and Dank is like, oh shit, Japan has 3 collaboration governments on the US, he's gonna know something's gonna happen.
Yeah, then he'll get nervous.
Yeah, and then in and of itself, it's gonna help Germany.
Yeah.
So even if we don't do anything, he has to be prepared for shenanigans, essentially.
Yeah. So if the war bogs down on the Eastern Front and they start yelling at you from the Euro axis, what do you think you should do?
I'm going to be disappointed, and then I will take Vladivostok.
Yeah,
that's basically it.
And what do our rules say about Japan joining against the Soviets? When are they allowed to do that? Is it 43? You have to take India first, right?
They can always join in 44, but by that most things should be settled in the Pacific. But if they want to join before that, they can join from 1942 if they have 3 of 4 objectives. And the 4 objectives are capitulating Singapore, taking Singapore, capitulating Raj, taking Hawaii, and capitulating Australia.
Right, so 2 of those, and you're allowed to join in against the Soviets.
Yeah, so we could take Singapore, Hawaii, and Australia, and then go in on the Soviets.
Yeah.
And just deal with India later. Or we might fail to take Hawaii and do the other 3.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, because usually as the Asia axis, you have quite the formidable land army, but nowhere to go. It's just you have the mountains in Burma towards Raj, and you can't fit any number of troops there. So
exactly.
It's really nice when the Soviet front opens up and you have somewhere just to put all that manpower.
Yeah, and we get most of our manpower from China now, so it's Chinese conscripts.
Yeah, but you did go for the small Manchu.
Yeah, we did. We did because we need resources. because yeah, we're gonna need arms race against Dankers.
Yeah.
We're gonna need steel
Yeah.
and aluminium and everything. So,
but you do get, like, even if he would have gone big man shoe, you still get the resources pretty cheap from him, don't you?
but yeah, but not even close to as cheap. Like, right now we can get like 1,000 steel for one factory.
Right. Otherwise, like 10 factories or something.
I think we might get like double the amount. I'm actually not sure, but like it's a significant amount.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I can see you're privy to our strategy documents where you can see the Allies' build plans. That's not good.
oh shit! Missed opportunity for me to read it.
So, is there anything else you would like to discuss, or?
I don't think so. I think it's kind of fleshed out. I hope the Axis holds on long enough to give us a game.
So we got a few comments here in the chat. Better get some food in him. He's going to need it to have the energy to run all the fun invasions.
That is true.
I hope it's going to be a good late game. Me too, Asnog.
Yeah.
And the Rosen says, just don't lose the naval race.
I try not to.
You're already behind in dockyards, though.
I'm always going to be behind in dockyards.
Yeah.
The idea is to use the naval bombers to even out the playing field.
Right.
So like if the Dankers makes a shit in the dockyards and builds only like battleships or something, it's fine because we use our military factories for our naval stuff.
Right.
In that we're building navs essentially.
Are you going carrier navs or regular navs?
Oh, carrier navs.
Yeah. Then you can use them both on the boats. And
exactly.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So let's see. I wonder how much thought Dankers has put into the naval limit with the disparity between dockyards. I think he's well aware of the naval limits.
Yeah.
Because it's present also in their finest bra, which is the mod that Dankers uses. Most.
He's aware.
Yeah. He wasn't aware of the that we had no limit on dockyards though. In the rules.
Oh, it wasn't. Okay,
so it's like, oh, I'm going to build dockyards, and apparently he did. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. Like, he could do like 200 dockyards if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Maybe overkill. Kind of overkill. And it's just like, I would waste bombs.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be fine.
Right. So, thank you, Jacob.
Yeah. Thank you,
and good luck in the proper war to come.
Thank you. I look forward to that high five.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Cool.
So I see Victor has probably gotten some food into him. Have you found an interviewee, though?
I heard rumors of the Soviets, but we'll see.
No Soviets.
No Soviets.
No Soviets. Maybe I'll go find an interviewee then.
Yeah, we're doing another Axis player.
We have a question here if Dankers broke the rules. No, it's not broken any rules. It's just usually the games he plays in, they have a limit on the number of dockyards you can build, I think, and we don't have such a rule. So he was like, oh, fine, then I'll build a bunch of dockyards. And as we heard from Jacob here, Jacob was his intel said that Dankers has probably 130 dockyards, and he's got 129, so he wasn't too far off. So yeah, it seems like Jacob has a pretty good idea of what Dankers is doing. I wonder if it will make a difference. We'll see. We now have another interviewee here. It's Ivarsson, who's playing the second chair on Germany, and yeah, Victor will run that interview, and I'll get some food. So stay tuned.
Yes, testing. I'm just applying the microphone here to my suit jacket, and there we are. Let's see there. Right. Let's have a seat. Welcome to the interview room.
Thank you.
So what do you think of the game so far? We have seen some Axis victories, so to speak, both in the Spanish Civil War and a quite fast Sino-Japanese war. What do you think your chances are going forward?
To be honest, there has been a silent war in the spy agency arena. So we only have we're gonna have 2 collabs on France.
Oh.
And we're going for a third, but it's questionable if we'll be able to get it.
overall, the build is going well. It all depends on really what France is doing. We see that France has Marines. We see that France is making some headway, but we also see that there has been some confusion in the allies, like the Spanish Civil War. Troops moving along the border. They didn't seem to have a plan going on. But that's kind of what happened when the France was pushed back and we cut the Soviets the south.
But what happened in the Spanish Civil War? Because we missed it a bit from the studio. They retreated to Barcelona, and
now first they got pushed out from the south.
Yeah,
and they got retreated to Barcelona from the south.
Okay.
So, but also like we kind of blitzkrieg them into Madrid, and that's something that they weren't prepared for at all. So yeah, like I said before, it seems like they didn't have a plan going into the Spanish Civil War, and they were on the back foot the entire time.
Oh. Well, how do you feel now? What are you going to do in Poland? Is there anything new, or it's just a regular quick push towards Warsaw?
It's the regular carve up Poland thingy. We have all the buffs. We have everything we need. The real tricky part will be France, depending on what the Frenchman is actually doing behind because he's been doing it to try to counter spy me.
Okay. And you had 2 collaboration governments, you said.
Yes.
So you will be able to cap him probably by taking the regular route, so to speak, or
yeah. But I don't really want to like annihilate him to also get some XP in for our general. So in my goal with the wall is to actually kill something just steamroll over and go captain, because that will not help us in later on in Barb, and we need certain traits on our generals in order to Barb.
Vi har ju en tekniker där borta också.
Yeah, and those traits that you're working towards, is that mostly armor focused, or are you going infantry, or what is your mostly armor focused? A regular German Barbarossa then.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see you moving on in the game here. I believe that
army. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a bit unorthodox then. So it's mostly infantry focused rather than big tank pushes and so on. Well,
it's both.
It's both.
The hybrid build.
Yeah.
So I think that some of the viewers will look at the Barbarossa front and think, what are we doing? And others will think like, that could work.
Yeah. I see here in the chat, do we have a third mic open somewhere? And yeah, probably Petey ran away with the other mic. So if you haven't heard my interviewee, we can do like this. We had a bit of a desync issue, not only in the game, but with the studio here.
Which part should I clarify?
I think we've heard you. I don't just think you have been interrupted by Petey.
Kul, vi gick in hit eller? Det är lite delay på den där. Du kommer in
So, but what do you think? You have a bit of a scary opponent in Dankert, for example, in the United States. How do you feel that the Pacific War will impact you? Are you scared of an early D-Day or stuff like that?
The thing is that as long as we can win in the air and we can deny...
Ja, vi har haft precis online har vi kört. Och då brukar vi köra med tekniker, men nu har vi 2 tekniker hela.
We
have a continuous plan for the Atlantic Wall. So it's not like we're gonna put everything on Barb. We're still gonna be able to.
Du ska inte vara med ikväll, Tobbe. Men ändå ska det. Nice.
If there comes a D-Day.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to see how the war pans out, and good luck in your further endeavors, and we'll see you on the battlefield.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jag berättade för Matte sist jag såg. Nej.
Welcome back. We're so sorry. We had a bit of a miscommunication here. So while I was interviewing the German player, Petey didn't give the German player the mic. So that's why you have been hearing some Swedish in the background. But we have managed to find Petey because we heard the background noises. We have been talking here. It seems like he's on the balcony. It seems like he's outside. But now we have found him and his mic is off. And I have booked an interview with the Soviet player, which means that we will connect to the Allied house and see what he's up to. Hello. Yes, I hear you loud and clear. How about you?
Good.
Yeah, nice. So, what do you think? What do you think about the game so far? You saw some losses in the Spanish Civil War. We heard from the Axis House here.
Yeah, I haven't talked that much to Francis. He was our commander in the Spanish Civil War, but I heard some backing out and leaving to leave in Barcelona, but failing. But it's okay. We have a lot of men.
Yeah, you'll be able to come back from that, I'm sure. But now you have the war with the Polish, but perhaps most importantly, later you have the Finnish Winter War breaking out. Do you have any special tactics for that or any game plan ideas?
Our big game plan overall, and it includes Finland, is going garrisons and light tanks and mountaineers. And later on, we're gonna transfer our light tanks to heavy tanks when the 41 tech kicks in. So we're gonna do some light tanks and mountaineers basically in Finland, and we don't need to win it, but we're gonna try. So we'll see. It's karma from all my role-playing.
Yeah, I mean, it will be interesting to see. What is your game plan going forward? Because the Soviets is one of our dark spots from the studio as to what your plans are. Will we see a heavy tank Soviet, or will it be the meat wall as we have been used to?
It's gonna be a mix. We start with the 16 with garrisons en masse, together with around 30 divisions of light tanks with TDs, light TDs. And with that strategy, we hope to hold out until a couple of years in. Then switch from light tanks to heavy tanks. And our tactic is just to survive with the garrisons and then transfer our garrisons to better infantry with all the button click that you get when you lose territory. So hopefully transfer from a meat wall to good Soviets later on.
Yeah, interesting tactics. Do you have any synchronizations with the Pacific theater? Have you spoken to Dankus about an early D-Day or a late D-Day, or how are you going to communicate with the other side of the Atlantic?
Yeah, basically I understood that the US is going on Japan, and his ambition is to kick them out 6 months after Tora Tora, and then or kill him after 6 months after, and hopefully after that we can get some lend-lease if needed. But as I understand, it's not going to be a D-Day. It's more going to be a southern advance through the Mediterranean.
Yeah, we see a happy Magnus here in the background. Prepared for war, and you feel that the Allied chances are good. You will be able to turn this early losses around to a win eventually, or how is the morale in the Allied camp?
Yeah, I don't know about the Allies, but in the Comintern, where the morale is very high. We won the Japanese border conflict, 0 dead Soviets, so that's good, and we feel that we can back all the way to the Euro without losing morale, but hopefully not that far. But we think with if it goes well also with the Japanese or the Pacific theater, I think we can hold out a couple of years and then get our tanks and do a pushback. So I'm optimistic.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. We hear optimism from the Allies. I can divulge that we hear optimism from the Axis as well. So we're going to see a very interesting World War II that has just kicked off. Thank you so much for the interview, and good luck in your future endeavors in the war.
Thank you, Victor. Good luck to you.
Well, Now we have Petey is eating. We have been served a wonderful dinner of, well, I wouldn't say Swedish meatballs because it's more of meatball. We call it järpar, which is basically meatball that is more oval in shape. But it's the same concept. It's minced meat and it's potatoes and it is gravy, lingonberry jam, of course. But we have had focaccia bread, which is a bit of a Mediterranean mix to the whole thing. But then again, I've heard that the meatballs came here from the Ottoman Empire, which was also quite prominent in the Mediterranean. So let's say that we have gone back to the roots in our dinner plans. Now we have heard an interview. I don't know. I apologize for the technical difficulties. So I don't know how much you heard about the German players' plans, considering that we lost the mic. But as you heard from the Soviets and the Allied House, morale is still high, even considering the early Allied setbacks. And as we were talking about before, the Allied usually have setbacks early in the war. It's not something new, so to speak, but I do believe that the 4 Soviet mountaineer divisions that they lost and that do not have the veteran status now will hurt them in the winter war. So we will see how the Finns perform. That war is, of course, to break out after Poland has been divided, which they will probably do in a short manner. We did see before in our analysis here that we have plans with quite decked out tank destroyer battalions, or divisions rather, from Volunteer Spain. And we have also had quite a laid-back Germany, I feel. Not any heavy tank mobilized warfare, more of a hybrid build in order to fill up the gains that the miners make with infantry in order to capitalize on those gains. And I do think that we are looking forward to a very interesting world war, especially considering the impact of the Pacific theater on the European situation. So first we have the outbreak of Danziger War, then we have France, we have the Finnish Winter War. So now you will be seeing a lot of more action moving forward. We hear from Asnog here in the chat. It was okay, heard what we were meant to hear. Rest was just operational security stepping in. So that's very good to hear. Once again, the technicians have worked wonders in the background in order to ensure that the activities of the casters does not negatively impact the stream. So very nice to hear that. And we will see how this all pans out. We have a war ahead of us, and we will be with you the whole evening. And we will see how this goes. And we'll see. Let's welcome Petey back to the booth here. He still doesn't have his mic, and now Lucas is away eating. But we see that Mossberg is solving that problem in a quick manner. And this camera has not been overheating as much as the last one. So I believe that we will have stability going forward. Not stability in Europe, though, because we do have these outbreaks of war. And one thing that I will be very interested to see, and that I would very much like to hear Petey's input on as well, is how the North African theater will pan out, because we have not heard a lot about that. But perhaps Petey has been able to gather some intel now when he has been up getting beer and eating pasta, in his case, which was the vegetarian option.
Yes.
For this afternoon.
I'm a bad hunter, or whatever you call it.
Yeah, that's what is it? It's the Native American word for bad hunter.
Right.
I've heard
Right.
in my travels.
Yeah, no, not too much new intel. Actually, the war is going to kick off very soon. I promised you all a raffle, and that is coming. So there's still time for you to sign up as a free member on our Patreon, patreon.com/HyggeGaming, and you will be in the lucky draw to win either a Hearts of Iron DLC or a pack of guides that are usually only reserved for our paying patrons. So go and register there, and you will be in the chance of winning.
Yeah, and if you're watching this on YouTube, or indeed on Twitch or Steam or whatever, then feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell and everything. Every little bit helps. we are trying to build up the community and expand our following so we can perform even grander games and even more events for all of you guys out there.
Exactly.
And it has been a long and fast journey. It was only about a year ago where we sat here having our first live streamed game from the Hygge HOI community, and that was much appreciated, and we had the support from Paradox, and we had our amazing technicians. Now we have done our digital games for the year, and we have had the studio at Petey's place with
the streamer Cat.
Yeah, with cats and with amateur technicians, and now we're back once again with the high production value, the drone shots, the distance interviews, the in-studio interviews, the beer, the quizzes, the good friends, and the good times. So we're looking forward to an evening of fun with all of you guys at home.
Definitely. And so, if you're just joining us, this is a Hearts of Iron multiplayer game where we play in a historical setting. It's an in-house game for our community, the Hygge gaming community. We have 35 players, I think, spread out into 2 different houses. So it's a physical LAN. We have Axis in one house, the same house we're sitting in, and the allies in a different house. And tonight we will all meet together and drink and eat and be merry and forget all past bad feelings.
Yeah, indeed. And at that banquet as well, we will have a live presentation of the awards and the quiz and everything. So looking forward to that. Do we get medals from Paradox this time as well?
I'm unsure. I don't. Maybe. I think they sent some giveaways to us, so we'll see. But anyways, so we are on our lunch break right now, so the players are getting back into position. Some players apparently left the game during lunch, but they have now rejoined. So we are in the game, and we could actually start looking around a bit in the game to see the order of battle, to see how it's going to pan out. Poland, of course, is at the top of the menu, and they usually don't survive too long.
Yeah, they usually don't put up that much of a fight. We have seen some Poland shenanigans, though. I remember one game we played where Poland had an idea that they were going to capitulate Hungary by invading from the north and capitulate Hungary before the Germans reached Warsaw. We see they have battle plans planned in that direction this time, but I mean, they will not be able to do much against this rather dug-in Hungarian line in the mountains as well. So,
if you notice, though, the line is entirely staffed by Germans because the Hungarians still haven't gotten an army. It seems like all the Balkan Bros, the Balkan miners, you see all of them, they have this one training division, so they are preparing for a later peak, so to speak. So they wait for the more modern equipment and so on, and try to time their build so that they are the most powerful when Operation Barbarossa starts.
Yeah, that's probably a smart move, but if something unexpected happens, it can be greedy as well. Because, I mean, it's the best for army experience equipment quota, but you don't have any troops on the line to defend if something were to go south.
I just have to send something over to our tech one moment.
Yes, you do that, and I will look at the German division build. We see here Germany is fielding rather standard line artillery infantry build. At this point, they have a combat width of 19. They probably want to get that up to 20. I think they will add another artillery division once they have the industrial capacity for it. If we look at the logistics tab, we haven't really looked a lot on this, but the Second World War, as you all know, is a lot... In a lot of senses, a war of logistics. You need to be able to supply all of these troops that you're building. You need to have a clear mindset on what you put your industry towards. And for your newer players in Hearts of Iron, you have a civilian industry, which is the civilian factories, and they produce consumer goods. That's food for your population and stuff that they need in order to not be angry at you. And that quota is significantly lower if you're at war, because if you're at war, there is a higher acceptance for a low standard of living, especially in autocratic countries. If we look here, for example, at Germany, they are at a war economy. Meanwhile, we have the UK, which is at a partial mobilization. So they have not yet transitioned into a war economy, and that is because they are democratic. So it's a significant threshold in order to do that. But now they are at war, so they will obviously also transition into a war economy. And that means that once you're at a war economy, then you get more civilian factories that can be used for wartime constructions instead of consumer goods factories. So then you can build, for example, here we see Germany building airfields in the Rhineland and Moselland, probably in order to field more airplanes for the upcoming invasion of France here. We see that they have battle plans planned towards the Low Countries and towards the inner part of France. And as we heard from the German player here before, they are planning a quick capitulation of France. They do believe that they might run into some hurdles, but they are planning to run this over rather quickly. They are also producing synthetic rubber refineries, and that is an important logistical resource, because in order to build trucks, in order to build tanks, you need rubber.
Or planes.
Yeah, or planes for that matter. Then you need the rubber, but most of the rubber is in like Indonesia and those places that are at this point controlled by the Allies. And also the Netherlands will at some point retreat to these islands once they capitulate and start a government in exile that is in Indonesia. And much of the rubber will be Allied controls for the foreseeable future. Germany is also building a lot of military factories, and those are the factories that you can then put to use in your yeah, where do you have that?
Production.
Yeah, the production. There. And here you see that you put your military factories on whatever military equipment you want to produce. So we can see here that they have 9 factories on infantry equipment, 5 factories on 2 different lines of railway guns. So they are producing a lot of railway guns and a lot of heavy artillery and radios. Also, fighter airplanes is what they're really going heavy into now. So they are really planning on winning the air war here, which I think is a sound strategy for them. And this is what later in the logistics tab then fill up your need for production. So for example, if you form 10 air wings consisting of 1,000 airplanes each, then you need to have 10,000 airplanes to fill those, and then you need to have the production to match. So that is pretty much the balancing game that we do in Hearts of Iron in order to win our wars.
Yeah. And as we were saying before, the Badger who controls Germany, his plan is to get jet CAS, jet close air support, pretty early. So the tech will be ready in 43. I think it's like a 45 or 46 tech, really. And they will be out and about at around 44. So yeah, we expect to see jet CAS, but yeah, it's not something we've seen before, I think.
Yeah, that is an entirely new strategy, and it will be interesting to see how that measures up on the Eastern Front.
Yeah.
Because it could really dominate the air, but then again, Germany is never really challenged in the air on the Eastern Front. In that sense, if you don't go jet CAS, you have a lot of military factories that you can use to produce tanks or artillery. So, I mean, it is a high-stakes play in a sense, because if Germany were to lose momentum in Operation Barbarossa, then it doesn't really matter if your close air support is driven by a jet motor or a propeller motor, because the Soviet will not have the air, but they will have the men.
Yeah.
Then again, if Dankes arrives with Amtraks at some point, it will be really nice to have jet-powered close air support.
Yeah.
He's planning for the long run, the Wunderwaffe, the railway guns, perhaps the nukes. We will see.
Yeah, it is a gamble to completely forego building tanks as Germany, because you are usually the main tank nation, and now he's going for no tanks, basically. He's got his starting light tanks, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, as we can see here, it's all infantry all the way. Not even that much like special forces infantry or anything, but I think his standard infantry template is quite okay. Okay, that's nothing special here. It's a 19 width, which means he will probably add another artillery, so it becomes 20 width. You want the combat width to be even numbers most often.
Yeah, we have a question in the chat here. Germany got 2 or 3 co-op. He has 2 co-ops.
Yeah.
Well, it's 3 total players on the country, but Badger has 2 co-ops helping him. And yeah, we'll see how they divide the stuff up between them.
Yeah, from what I've heard, the Badger will do all the macro. He will control the air and the navy, and he will leave most of the ground fighting to his co-ops.
Yeah. And that will be interesting to see how that pans out. We have 4 players on the Soviet. It is a dangerous Soviet. But we'll see how they adapt, for example, in the Winter War. Now, if they were to lose the Winter War, what does that mean for the Soviet war effort and their plans going forward?
And I mean, the Soviets, they do have 4 players playing Soviets, so four players, but they are facing, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's easy to get overwhelmed micro-wise, even though you have 4 players as the Soviets. They usually have quite a sweaty time from 1941 until they capitulate, or however the game ends.
Yeah, indeed, we have a question here from Asnog. No tanks, any anti-tank to stop the Russian tanks, or will the Jetcast cover that?
No, he plans to have a lot of heavy anti-tank in his regular infantry division. So I think maybe like 4 or something heavy anti-tank, but that is of course a 1940 tank or 41, so we won't see them yet, but he does plan to have a lot of anti-tank in his divisions.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of anticipation from the Axis side about a tank Soviet. For example, when we interviewed Joel up here, he had his planned divisions for volunteer Spain was a lot of anti-tank potential. And it will be interesting to see, because when we interviewed the Soviets, they said that they are going some meat wall hybrid that later transitions into a lightly armored core of some sort. And,
oh, really?
And that might be, because, I mean, obviously, if you have an anti-tank division, self-propelled, you're going to push through infantry as well, but it is not as effective considering how much you really stunt your economy by building those very expensive divisions. Then you can get overwhelmed by the meat wall, especially later in the game. We have Corey Taylor asking, surely the Germans need a lot more than what they have? And yes, I would say that they do, because and they probably will get as well, because it's quite a while away to Barbarossa. But yeah, Germany is definitely building up, especially its air force. At this point, we saw the factories of the Germans were pretty much entirely focused on building up the air force, and that is a big play for Germany in this game. So we will see how it pans out. Is there no Mongolia? Asks Eternum Boy.
It's a good question. We haven't really presented Mongolia. Let's do that real quickly. We're gonna have to take a quick break in the stream in just a bit to get the Steam connection working. So just bear with us. But first, we can do a bit of presentation of the Mongolian player. And playing Mongolia, we have Mr. Boppus himself. And Boppus is, of course, part of the Central Committee. He is, apart from Badger, he's the one doing all the guides on YouTube. So he's got a comprehensive knowledge of the game, like in depth.
He is also our Excel spreadsheet master. If you have watched our guides on YouTube, Boppus is the one that does the economy guides, what factories are most effective, and he really goes through the math. He really goes through the production lines.
He hates civilian factories.
He hates civilian factories, and that might be the play, because as we all know, the military factories is what churns out the troops. But the military factories is what builds the infrastructure, so that is a debate to be had, perhaps over dinner.
But as you can see from his player portrait there, he's got quite a lot of awards already, but he's usually not known for like his stellar microplay. Like it's usually his grand plans, his mechanics, his macro builds, and so on. So he's not known as the best micro player. That being said, he's not a bad micro player by any means. But now when he's playing Mongolia, that will be his role. He'll get a few units, maybe a few tanks, and that's what he has to work with.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting position for Boppus, because he is used to this, having a very, very big country with co-ops and doing the grand battle plan, like the strategy, the idea, the effective production, and so on. But now he will have a few hard-hitting divisions that he will need to use to the best of his ability. So it will be interesting to see.
And it would probably be like an optimal build for Mongolia. Like,
yeah, I would imagine.
We'll probably see as big an army for Mongolia as you have ever seen, because he will min-max it to the tits.
Indeed.
So it looks like we have a hot join, so maybe we should take the opportunity to do a quick break. Just hang around, and we will try to get Steam working. Our technicians are very competent and professional, so this should just take a slight moment. So just bear with us for a moment, and we'll be right back.